brought by the sound of violence.
One of the big things people have been talking about is Greg Hardy in the last couple of days. He was added to the card in Brooklyn. Rachel Ostovich on that card. Unfortunately, she's had some issues with domestic violence. And Greg Hardy, no matter how much time has passed, is tied to that. Right. Is he remaining on that card? What's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to be tied to that for the rest of his career, for the rest of his life. This is a guy who has spent the last 5 years rehabilitating himself from drugs, alcohol, anger management, you name it, rebuilding his life. He hit rock bottom. He lost his job, and he's building a family now. He has a son and a daughter, and he's trying to put that behind him.
But people are saying the optics of having him on the same card as her is tone deaf.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast that talks about the MMA podcast you should catch, skip, and can't miss each week. I am Pulver, and I am back once again with my co-host, Chris Madaffer. What up, bruh?
Dude, I'm so overly hyped for the card tomorrow because it's a little ironic and we'll get to it later. Last weekend, we even said on the podcast, like, hey, what are you watching tomorrow? So I watched the boxing match last weekend and missed most of the Adelaide card. However, this weekend, it's all UFC for me. And Lomachenko, I'm going to have to watch the highlights because I forgot he's fighting tomorrow. And he's probably my favorite boxer to watch in all boxing.
Yeah, he's fun as hell. And it's ironic that the card you skipped, you got 11 out of 12 fights right on.
Yep, that's very ironic. And
you got a fuckload of the methods right as well. It was kind of fucking ridiculous. I think the only one you got wrong was the same one I got wrong. We'll talk about it later, but good God.
That's something. I won't call myself clairvoyant by any means, but sometimes being lucky means... Sometimes it's nice to be lucky, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I went 9 for 12, so there was a lot of those fights that everybody kind of knew which way they were going, but 11 for 12 is still fucking insane, so props.
All right.
Why don't we jump into our Doug Stanhope Nope. God damn it, every time. I have a fucking Bible
It's
over
because
there.
we know it's Doug Stanhope, so
I know.
Head.
And it's a Doug Stanhope reference that I'm making every time I do it. Because if you guys have ever watched the Doug Stanhope special, you'll get why I make that joke. But why don't we get to our Papa Vodka presents Doug Stanhope presents our totally real not fake sponsors. What are you drinking on?
So, this is a very, very dry beer. Hence, it's like I'm sipping it's very, very carbonated, dry. It's good, though. It's Iron Fire Brewing. They're from Temecula.
Ooh, love Iron Fire. Their 5150 IPA is legit.
That's the one I'm having.
Yeah, it's very good, but yeah, you're right. It's very dry.
Yeah, I have to take, like, small sips.
Yeah.
It's just like you're just swallowing a shitload of bubbles. You're like, oh, God. Like, it's good, but it's kind of... I mean, that's the good news. I get to enjoy it very slowly, but
it's dry and it's super. It's pretty bitter, like old school West Coast IPA with some tropical notes.
95 IBUs. There's Simcoe and Eureka dry hopped, 6.5%.
Yeah, Simcoe's that old school shit.
Yeah, this is definitely an old school tasting beer. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's one of my go-tos actually. They make their varietals are all right. Like I think we've had the grapefruit on the show before, but yeah, the regular 5150 is yummy. I am drinking all fucking hipster beer today, thanks to what's the name of this fucking liquor store near me? Preferred Liquors in Santee, California. Really, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so many. Actually, it's really Meth Teeth, California, because goddamn, are there a lot of tweakers out here. But I am drinking So I went to this liquor store, which I like a lot. They have fantastic, hard to find beers, like a bunch of brewery stuff, a bunch of Lost Abbey stuff, and then they also have they're really high on the New England IPA train. To the point where they literally have every hipster beer. Like, they have every new hipster beer that you can get in Southern California, which I'm a big fan of, because Some of those hipster beers are very good. Some of them are very overrated, and that's why I picked this up. This is, oh God, what the fuck? I always fuck up this name. Omnipollo, I think is the name. They are the famous Massachusetts brewery who is well known for making pastry stouts and pastry hazy IPAs. So I am drinking Mango S'mores, an India Pale Ale brewed with marshmallows, graham cracker, salt, and lactose sugar.
That sounds really good.
With mango and vanilla added. And it is, I will tell you right now, this is a goddamn milkshake beer. It is hazy as all hell.
What's it called again?
Good point. I did not say that.
Yeah,
I think it's because I've been trying to avoid pronouncing what I believe to be Sploing.
Wait. Sploing?
It's Shploing. Sploing?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I think that's how it's pronounced, but it's an Omnipollo beer, or maybe it's Omnipolo because they're from Massachusetts, so they don't know what Mexicans are.
Yeah, or just the Spanish language.
Right, there's 2 L's, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but if you're Italian, it's Omnipollo, but that sounds even weirder.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to let this beer warm up for sure, because it has some weird notes. Shouts out to the plane dropping more off for me. It has some weird notes, but right now, yeah, exactly. But right now, it mostly just tastes like a New England IPA, and even not even that New Englandy actually. So I'm gonna let this warm up a bit. But I also have 2 more very fucking hipster beers to drink, so look forward to those.
Cool, man. Yeah, I need to get some more hipster beers on my radar, but I think I'll be having some tomorrow because I'm gonna be at Tap House for the fights.
Nice.
So if you want to join me, let me know if you're available.
I might do that actually.
But I do know you do have to commit from Santee though. Fuck, I always forget that.
Well, right, but
so
maybe take
Santee, an Uber.
Well, yeah, well that too, or bring girlfriend Karen and hope she doesn't get shit faced. One of those. Yeah, I might have to do that. We may have to make that happen. But anyway, why don't we jump into format since we are not a booze podcast despite my best efforts. Why don't you start us off with the MMA podcast you recommend people catch this week?
So I have multiple catches. I'm pretty much going to mention everything that I listen to.
Oh yeah, because you had a short list of. It's been a fucking weird. Let me start off by saying it's been a very fucking weird week for MMA and MMA podcasts and journalists. I don't want to get into any of it. I don't even want to mention it on the show because I haven't seen it verified yet. One of the things, but the Greg Hardy thing, I have a feeling is going to be a repetitive topic on this show because of.
I think what we'll do too is we'll get that out of the way maybe in a bit. After
the Greg Hardy thing?
Just like our quick thoughts, because I mean, I don't.
Well,
really
the Greg
have
Hardy thing is going to come up on like 4 of the podcasts I have at least, so we'll get to it. But anyway,
yeah, mine just have brief. Now that I think, I don't think I wrote any notes on it, but
it's all right. I got you covered.
Yeah. So anyways, my first catch is Submission Radio. They had.
It was a good one.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith, Mark Raimondi. Excuse me, and Tommy Toehold, who always has.
You always got to burp right at the mic, bro. You got to start turning in your head. I'm sure that's driving. I was editing the other day. That is brutal to get burped directly into your ear hole.
Yeah, so my mistake there. I guess I watched too much at your mom's house.
I mean, that's the problem. Is Christina and Tom are fucking filthy people who love that shit. So.
Anyways, Mark Raimondi and Tommy Toehold did a preview of 231. Raimondi was the first guest. He said, since pretty much every podcast mentioned this fight, the Tyson Fury-Deontay Wilder fight, which was a week ago. He discussed Eric Anders and his current ambition and campaign to implement cannabis in MMA.
Wait, you mean Elias Theodora?
Was it Theodora or Eric Anders?
It's Theodora.
Oh, it is Theodora.
Elias has been doing it for a bit.
Oh, yeah, because never mind. I heard Anders because that's who he's fucking fighting. Excuse me. Yes,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Theodora. Okay, because once I was like, I wrote down Anders, like, that doesn't sound right. Yes, thank you for correcting me. Theodora.
Well, especially since it's all legal in Canada. Like, they're across the board.
Yep. Yeah, it's like nationally legal there, which is great.
It's because Canada's better at the government than we are.
Yeah, they fucking sure are. I mean, yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Nope.
Oh, wait. Olivier Aubin-Mercier has years to develop, but he's already solid so far. He's shown a lot of good potential at such a young age. I think he's young. He's like 24, 25.
Might be a little older, but yeah, he's not super old.
Raimondi was talking about Gunnar Nelson is apparently in the best shape of his life, and he had never lifted weights before until now, and he's absolutely shredded. They said, well, what's his ceiling at now? Does he still have contender potential at 170 pounds? Because they were asking him, do you think he'd ever move down to lightweight? But Gunnar has said on occasion that he doesn't really believe in weight cutting, and he currently doesn't really even cut to 170. So, and if you're a grappler or jiu-jitsu practitioner, if you don't have to weight cut, don't do it. Well,
depends on your division.
Yeah.
Like for 185 versus 205, no, clearly don't, as has been shown over and over again. But
yeah. Raimondi was talking about Joanna moving up to 125 pounds was inevitable in the past, as you and I have heard. She's blamed some of her losses, or I guess it was just the first loss to Rose, on bad weight cuts.
The first one for sure she did.
First one she went as far to fire her dietitian or something like that.
Nutritionist, yes.
Her nutritionist.
The one that was writing I believe it was the one that was writing all the motivational stuff on her water bottle that she was like in love with for a couple of years.
Okay, that makes sense. Raimondi, they asked, who do you like in that fight? Raimondi says he likes Valentina Shevchenko. She thinks her clinch game's better, thinks it's going to be competitive regardless, just by the stylistic matchup of it. Both are very kind of forward pressuring fighters. I mean, they're patient in their own rights too, but
right.
There's going to be a lot of exchanges on the feet. Don't really expect us to go to the ground, more or less just in the clinch. Mark was talking about that since this was recorded 5 days ago, he hopes Max Holloway is healthy for the fight. The good news is they both made weight today.
And Max didn't look terrible. I know everybody's been shitting on how Max talks, but he's like, yes, Max has been slurring slightly more, but he gets hit in the fucking head for a living. So, like, I don't know how much weight we need to put behind the fact that he is slurring more. It's not like his slurring got worse in the last, I don't know, 6 weeks or week or two. Like, the weight cut doesn't seem to be affecting him, really.
Yeah.
Or at least not visibly.
Of course, since Reddit loves to give their fighters nicknames, they said, Max made weight. I love roofie-free Max. Like, okay.
That's a rough one, but sure. Yeah, if you Reddit, that sounds like a Reddit joke for sure.
100%. Tommy Toehold had his little featured bit that's in most of Submission Radio's episodes now. I think maybe it's the preview shows.
Yeah, I think he's done it for a while now, for sure.
Basically touting.
Also,
Gunnar.
we should mention it's. I think it's. Never mind. I forgot they don't number their episodes. It's just 231 preview.
They did number them, but I don't know. I think
they don't number them everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I think they number them on their podcast feed, but not on their YouTube feed. I don't know. If you check out our YouTube, we always make playlists that have any of the podcasts we talk about that are on there.
So then Tommy Toehold's little bit. He thinks the featured bout is Gunnar Shredder Nelson versus Brazilian Cowboy. He's just really anticipating to see how Nelson looks.
I mean, yeah.
Because of his appearance change. Or physique change.
He's jacked.
Yeah, that kind of intrigues me too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always kind of cool to see fighters basically transform. And see how it affects their performance. So that'll be fun to watch.
In positive and negative ways.
Yeah, doesn't know. Yeah.
Shouts to Johnny Hendricks after USADA.
But McDonald's is so good.
Or shouts to Anthony Johnson after the UFC.
Oh yeah, that's right. He blew up, huh?
I mean, he weighs like 300 pounds and is a fucking giant mass of. I'm not gonna say he's a giant mass of Tyranobol, but I'm gonna think it real hard.
Jimmy Smith was on. He said he's glad the fight is actually happening and didn't end up like Khabib versus Tony. I mean, it's technically still not over from happening, but it doesn't look good either. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what the fuck Khabib wants to do now? Yeah. Max loves to bring forward pressure, but so does Brian Ortega when shooting or level changing. Max loves being the exchange guy, so it's going to be interesting to see when he's being pressured backwards. Is he going to continue to backpedal, or is he just going to use his really good inside his... I know he uses his hips to level change a lot. That's kind of like his bread and butter as far as when he's able to glide to the outside.
Yeah, he feints it a lot.
Jimmy
He
expects...
He brought up a really cool thing. Sorry to cut you off. He brought up a really cool thing where he mentioned that the way for Ortega to set up the guillotine is by banging the body.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say.
Oh, see, I cut you off
okay.
at the exact same time. Our notes must be similar. But yeah, it's interesting the way he talked about that.
Yeah, I think he says he's gonna soften up the ribs and then look for a guillotine, whether it's standing clinch or in mount. I mean, we saw what he did to Cub Swanson with the standing guillotine.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where he set up Cub a couple times with, like, he set up Cub with a couple different things, and that fucking hand, rewatching some of that stuff, that hand adjustment he does for that arm and guillotine where he fakes going no arm guillotine and then he goes back to the arm in and cranks that shit down, that is so crafty and looks so dope in retrospect.
Yeah, and did I not watch that fight?
You must have.
No, I watched it, but I was talking to myself because I did some tape study. Didn't do as much as I wanted to because
gotcha.
I was originally going through the card, and we'll get this to in our last segment. But yeah, I'll get to that later because I've got some notes for that in its own right.
Yeah, I'm sure we both do for sure. But yeah, that was a fun episode. They talked JJ versus Shevchenko too, I think, for a bit.
Yeah, I know they expect Joanna and Valentina. They both have good jabs. They both like to come forward. I can't remember the last time I really saw either fighter fighting from the out, like backpedaling, or just kind of like being pressured and fighting from, transferring backwards, like backwards punching. Because I remember Valentina in her fight with a pressure forward fighter like Nunes, it turned it almost into a stalemate. Both were kind of just waiting to see who would press forward. And
both
then
of
they
those
jab and then
fights.
back up.
Yeah.
So damn it, that makes me think that could be a possibility for this fight, but I hope not.
We will talk about it later, but you might have just nailed my entire take on this fight.
God damn it. Anyways, let's see. I have other catches. Do you want to get to a catch real quick?
Yeah, sure. I've got one catch, and then I've got a couple can't miss. My catch is Fights Gone By, episode 109.
Cool, that's another one of my catches as well.
It was good, right? He had some fucking... First
it.
off, he had some great jokes. He talks about the TJ versus Cejudo on ESPN Plus announcement and how it doesn't make sense. And then from there on, he had some fantastic lines about a couple different things. Here's a quote: "Watching people do spin kicks makes idiots out of fight fans," which I really enjoyed. 100% talking about Zabit fans and how everybody's terrified of them. He also mentioned that promoters are trash. Like he cited Don King's famous "From the Slave Ship to the Championship" posters that Don King put up in Zaire for the Rumble.
Dude, yeah, I remember hearing that. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's fucked up, right?
Yeah, that's really bad.
He compared the MMA JA to the Magicians Guild from Arrested Development, which was the artwork. The "We Demand You Take Us Seriously" GIF, which is fucking amazing.
Oh, with Job, Will Arnett.
Yeah, it's fantastic. He talks, and then he breaks down Ortega versus Holloway. Talks about Ortega's messy striking and defense. Here's another great quote from Jack Slack this week: "A good kidney punch is like getting hit in the soul's dick."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Just had some great lines this week. Here's another good quote. Or no, he had a good comparison. Sorry, of Valentina to Masvidal, where both don't feel like they ever have to win a round when you watch them. They just kind of do what they do, and if they win, they win, and if they don't, they don't. But they don't ever feel the need to push a pace.
I kind of like what he means when he says that, though. It's
a great comparison.
Yeah, Because I remember watching both those fighters. You're like, wow, they did a lot of good things, but which rounds was it again? It's like you watch one long round. I feel like they always set the same kind of pace.
And that's why they end up with a lot of close decisions. Like Masvidal is the king of Masvidal and Leonard Garcia are the kings of split decisions. And Diego Sanchez probably deserves a spot in that too, where it's just like and they have the exact opposite reason for why they're split decisions. Actually, now I think about it.
Yeah.
My only other note on that was that he had the great idea, which I might actually do this weekend, which is take a drink. Similar to my old school women's MMA Invicta drinking game that I used to play, which doesn't really work anymore because everybody stopped doing this finally after being made fun of too much. But it used to be I would always take a drink whenever anyone tried a head and arm throw, which you would get fucked up like 3 fights in. However, he mentioned the drinking game for Valentina versus JJ is to take a drink every time Valentina throws a spin kick with her left leg and misses by a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because she does that shit a lot. I would also say, if you really just hate yourself and want to get hammered, go ahead and take a drink every time you hear Caitlin Chukagian do a ki.
Oh, the Kia?
She is the Holly Holm of the 115 or the 125 division.
Hush.
Yep. 100%. Do you have any other notes on that?
Dominic Cruz versus John Lineker's official for UFC 233. By the way, tickets just went on sale today. I have to try to look at prices. I'll let you know too if you're
Where's
interested.
233 at? LA,
Anaheim,
right?
dude.
Yeah, we might have to go to that, man, depending on what prices look like. That card's starting to look stacked as fuck though, so we'll see. So
this thing, if we get them like honestly this weekend, you get them for pretty cheap. Like considering waiting like a month from now.
That's true.
At least that's what I did when I went to 226 this summer. So that's insane. I would love to see Dominic Cruz fight in person. Never have, and that'd be fun to go support him.
That's true. A 2-hour drive to see Dom Cruz fight is probably
not even 2 hours. More like hour 10.
It's a Saturday, dog.
Well, yeah. So either you want to leave super fucking early and just hang out in Anaheim and go bar hopping, or
I know some decent breweries around that area. We can do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be the plan. Like you mentioned before, Dillashaw and Cejudo is headline at ESPN Plus Brooklyn card, and I think he talked about the jabs to the face are going to be key in both the co-main and main event as far as disrupting distance.
Makes sense.
When one of them tries to decide to go forward. He says it's baffling how some people are pretending to give a fuck about the 3 Muay Thai fights that Joanna and Valentina had against each other years ago. I think he said 2010. And
yeah, that's hard to argue with, especially when you go back and rewatch the one that you can find where they're both wearing headgear and shin pads and just kind of like crashing into each other over and over again with kicks.
And I think what he said that it's just parroting a lot of what people were talking about on Reddit. Well, yeah, man, it's like the Muay Thai means something. You know, it's like 8 years ago. It's like, okay. And then
they're both super different fighters, and MMA changes the
Oh yeah, no, 100% right. Just the rule set alone.
MMA angles, bruh.
What depressed me is I thought the fight had fallen apart. Apparently, the Mayweather is still fighting Tenshin Natsukawa.
It fell apart, but it went back together.
So now
it is a three
rounds.
minutes, exhibition fight.
So it's not official, which that's fine with me. I don't give a fuck if it's exhibition. Maybe Tenshin's gonna try and knock him the fuck out. So
I hope they paid Tenshin $1 million in Japan to head kick Floyd Mayweather, and because Japan is one of those places that like talks a lot about respect, but then they also put fucking Sakuraba against like 18-year-old killers back in the day, like, and they try and get Gomi killed every year. It's a weird, they have a weird dichotomy over there with some of that stuff. So I wonder, like, I know they preach a lot about, you know, the martial arts and all that, but they also love seeing Bob Sapp fight. So I always wonder, like, how much money would it
fights as long as there's honor to them,
and how much, even if there isn't honor to them, like they fucking didn't they like Gilbert Ivel a whole lot, who fouled everyone in Pride in every way.
That's a good point.
So I just wonder how much money it would cost them to pay attention to head kick Floyd is really all I care about on that. However, they're doing 2 back-to-back cards like they do most years, and Ryzen is, and they look stacked as fuck. It should be great.
And then the last note I had is Jack says we should all go gay for Brian Ortega. And I'm like, all right, cool.
I mean, hard to argue with. He's very pretty.
Yeah. Not often you see a blue-eyed Latino, as who the fuck said that? I think it was that one guy from that Lineker fucking podcast from months ago. I remember.
Really?
I think it was that guy. Yeah. Speaking of which, Lineker.
Lineker.
Oh, Wes. It's your boy, Wes.
Oh, yeah, my boy, Wes.
Shouts out to those guys. I can't remember their fucking name.
Loudmouth MMA, maybe?
It's one of those, yeah.
Something like that. It was one of those podcasts from the South.
Shouts out to the Hank Hill one, too. I forget what that one's called, but
I didn't know those were different podcasts. Honestly, I mixed them together in my head. Cool, man. That's all the catches I had. What other catches did you have?
So,
or I should clarify, MMA podcast people should catch rather than just catches. It starts to sound weird after you say it too many times.
The summer catch. So
that's right. Yo, Freddie Prinze Jr. is out here tweeting fucking every MMA fighter, so I fucks with that reference.
Yeah, but thank you for I knew you'd recognize that.
Oh, 100%. Jessica Biel, dog.
Yeah. All right. So okay, so I'll mention the MMA Vivisection.
Very good.
They said Nina Ansaroff versus Claudia Gadelha is a better fight than you might expect.
Yeah, that shit's gonna be. I'm really been going back and forth on that.
Yeah.
That one and actually a couple of these fights.
Fuck, I didn't write. I'm thinking whatever. I'll get to that later about my notes and all that. But I'm too worried. See, now I'm too worried about my fucking notes that I wrote, and I'm just gonna do it usually how I. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
You live by the notes, you die by the notes, brah.
Yeah, Elias Theodore. I wrote as Theodore. Sure, Elias Theodore versus Eric Andre. Is a
King
weird...
Cannabis, you mean? King Canadian Cannabis.
Yeah, so King Cannabis and Eric Andre are fighting. They said it's a weird but tough to pick fight. Cannabis makes everyone else in the division look bad when he fights them, and Andre's striking is meh. So they're leaning Cannabis to defeat Eric Andre. Gilbert Burns versus OAM is another tough one for them to pick. They think Burns is faster and smoother in the striking department, but OAM has a better chin. According to Zane, as far as the grappling, I would imagine Burns has that advantage because I think he won at Worlds or competed at Worlds, presumably jiu-jitsu.
He definitely has a high-level jiu-jitsu game. We'll talk about it later, but cardio becomes a real factor in that fight as far as I can tell.
They said it almost would be more beneficial for OAM to take Burns to the ground.
If he can, yeah.
Because he has inconsistent punching or striking. They said it's a compelling fight regardless, and they like Burns. And the other last note I had is they had the opening fight on the Fight Pass prelims, Alexander Rakic versus Devin Clark, and they really, really like Rakic, and I'll have more to say about that guy when we get to the last segment of our podcast later.
Me as well. Yeah, that's a fun fight. Almost every fight on this card is really solid. Like, there's only a couple where I'm like, bro, or wow. Actually, pretty much everyone I have in fantasy is like, why would you do that to that person? And then the rest of them are pretty fucking competitive.
You just reminded me. I gotta check my lineup, man.
I have, between both leagues, I have 5 people fighting this weekend in the MMA Community Mag War League, and I have 2 people fighting in the 1/4 league that we're doing.
Okay, yeah.
And I have at least a title fight in both of those, so should be moving on up. I literally have the top. I have Holloway, I have Shevchenko, I have Santos, I have Diego Ferreira, and I have Chad Laprise all in our MMA Community League. So I feel like I should get some goddamn points this weekend. Fingers crossed. Spoiler alert on my picks later.
Okay. So, in the words of Eugene S. Robinson, 2 weeks ago, 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 2 weeks a I know I don't really say well because I don't know the quote.
I was gonna say, you don't have any more catches?
Not. I mean, like I said, I didn't have too many notes. I had some personal shit unfortunately happen this week, which
Understandable. That should happen.
Setback. Yeah.
Cool. We'll move on to our skips. So Eugene S. Robinson style disclaimer: just because we say to skip your podcast does not mean that we hate your podcast or that we hate you. We might actually really like you. As is the case in my episode this week. I'm a big fan of this podcast. However, this episode was tough to get through or not worth the time it took to listen. Or just maybe get your child to stop crying in the background. So why don't we go ahead and get to your skip for this week? What MMA podcast do you recommend people skip?
Don't technically. So there were some that I was listening to, but I realized they're either old recordings. Like I was gonna listen to "It's Time" by Bruce Buffer, and it was a new episode. But the interview he had with Ortega was from July. It was just him talking about how bummed he was that
Bruce Buffer. Yeah, Bruce Buffer.
So that was kind of. I guess that's considered a skill. Another one, I guess, that I could talk about. Unfiltered. I liked that Renzo Gracie was in studio. It was fine, but I don't. Who the fuck was the phone guest? It was just like the first ever so minutes. There was some funny quotes, like Renzo Gracie was talking about how he's never done any sort of drug and he considers cannabis a drug. He was like, "Oh, I don't want any sort of my mental or physical state to alter because I need to be at my peak performance," whatever kind of thing he wants to say, right? It was Chev, and the funny part is Matt, just right on cue said something about how much he's like, "I've never smoked marijuana in my life," or something, some sort of.
Even though he talked about it on the last 6 episodes.
Yeah, but he said it in a Bill Clinton kind of way, which made me laugh. So that was interesting.
Inhale type shit.
Yeah. So that was. But there were some moments about that. I like listening to Renzo Gracie talk.
He's always he's the fun version. Well, I should say he's the real version. Wow, I should be careful how I word that. Of Hinach.
I was gonna say Hinach, yeah.
Yeah. He definitely has some Hinach moments. And fucking Matt Serra. This is, by the way, UFC Unfiltered 252. Hinach is the crazy version of Henzo, but Matt loves Henzo so much that he gets Henzo to say crazy shit.
Yeah.
Definitely fun. Anyway, what was the other note you had on it?
Fuck. Oh, they had Valentina Shevchenko on.
That's right.
And I barely had any notes for it. I kind of am blanking right now, like a piece
Mostly
of shit.
just talks about cornering her sister, if I remember right.
Yeah. I think, she talked about her,
in the Muay Thai fights with JJ.
Yeah, thank you. It was the lead up to her sister, how she said it's almost, she gets more nervous watching her family fight or family member fight than she would even in her own fights, which I think that kind of makes a lot of sense.
Fighters say that a lot, which makes sense because you have no control over it, so all you can do is sit there and fucking Chuck Liddell in your seat.
Yeah, because if you lose a fight or you feel like you kind of either accept it, you basically do accept that, so maybe that's how some nerves go away.
Yeah.
But, yeah, damn, dude. Sorry, I'm so fucking slow right now. I got distracted. God damn it. Anyways, but yeah, those are just some of my skips, or half skips. What about you? Did you have, hopefully you have something that's actually more detailed than me just mumbling and trying to half remember shit.
Well, so my skip is a podcast that, this was a good podcast. The problem was, Adam fucking... MMA Roasted, Adam... Why can I not remember Adam's last name right now? Hunter? Yeah. Adam Hunter's goddamn baby cried in the background of this entire fucking episode. And he brought it up at the beginning, which is what you should do. And it was still entertaining because, so Adam said at the beginning, as his kid started crying in the background, that he's like, I talked to my girlfriend about this today, or my wife, or whoever she is, and I told her, hey, I should probably get a babysitter for the kid during the podcast, and she's like, no, it'll be fine. Meanwhile, the kid is wailing in the background, and Eve Edwards, since he's a grandfather, has to go over and basically babysit for half the episode, or him and Adam swap out back and forth. So while this episode is very good, If you at all have a problem with babies crying, then you're gonna fucking hate it. Which is why it was a skip for me. Is because I can't do that shit. I still listened to the whole thing. It was listenable, but like this is more of a warning than a skip. This is a skip if you can't deal with children crying. If you're a parent, you're probably okay.
So would you recommend to listen if you're listening on earphones, just like one earphone in?
No. Well, so to be fair, the kid doesn't cry the entire time. Like they take him into the other room. Eve does for a while. Adam does for a while. But it's just there's just enough of it, and Adam is yelling off mic with the baby half crying enough of it that it's like it gets kind of rough. But they do talk about so Eve Levine was in studio along with Greg Wilson and Ween Dogg. And Eve talks about, Adam does have the line at one point. It was like Cocoon this weekend. The old guys came back at the UFC Adelaide card, which I liked. There's a solid Cocoon joke. If you guys haven't seen that movie, just Google that movie. It's a good joke. Eve talks about his eating food on the scale meme that kind of blew up over the last week. And then they have, I'm going to butcher Nate's name. Nate Landwehr, I think is his name, who calls in. He fights an M1. And he was actually very entertaining. And then they got off the phone with him and they looked him up and they're like, holy shit. I think it was Eve that said, I didn't realize Nate was a white dude. He did not sound white at all on the phone.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was really good. Because I didn't know the entire time. If they hadn't have said something out loud, I would have thought he was black dude for sure. Because he's from, I forget where, Tennessee or something. And he has a hella accent. And I just never would have picked it up. So it was funny when they pointed that out, and I Googled them. I was like, holy shit. No, that's not at all. Your voice sounds nothing like how you look. Ponzinibbio calls in, who, I don't know if you know this, Ponzinibbio does not speak great English.
Oh, I think I saw he had a translator.
Not on this podcast. So like he gets his way through it, and it's still fine. Like it's a good interview, but Adam, which I think one of his co-hosts, I think it's Ween Dogg, one of those guys, pointed out like, Adam, when someone's confused and they don't speak great English, don't just say the same thing you said before at the same speed. Slow it down. Because Adam Hunter, he talks real quick. And so that was a bit of a problem. And he mentioned it afterwards, which I thought was funny. The baby started crying again, so Adam went away while they called Juan Archuleta and talked to Juan. But overall, it was just a good podcast. But the baby crying, like, if you can't deal with babies crying, or you can't deal with people talking off mic, where you can hear them, but they're definitely off mic, this is not for you.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too pleasing to the ears.
I'm probably overselling it. I just hate babies.
Yeah.
I was going to say crying, but then I cut off the sentence, really.
I'll just say this. Whenever I was like dining out as a kid with my family, if there's ever a crying baby, especially at a restaurant, my dad would just like motion with his finger like as a pistol and make a silenced pistol sound.
By the way, that is a local politician, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not. He's actually not a politician anymore. But this is my dad.
Anymore is my point.
It's a dad joke, guys. When your dad makes inappropriate.
I just thought it was very funny. And to be fair, I'm just gonna let that one go.
I think the same thing. Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah,
half kidding.
Yeah, no. For sure, let's just put all the babies.
You know what? By the way, that sound is not for the baby, it's for the parents, clearly, because they don't know how to fucking raise a kid.
100%. Don't bring a goddamn baby to a restaurant. What the fuck is wrong with you? Have some goddamn self-worth and eat at home.
And you know what's worse than a crying baby in a restaurant? A fucking crying, like, 6-year-old, or like an actual kid that's acting like a fucking baby, like standing on a seat.
You know what's worse than that? Just children in general.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
All right, I've listened to a lot about Bob Stanhope. What the fuck? I listened to a lot of Doug Stanhope this week, so I'm trying to avoid all the dark jokes. I'm thinking. Why don't we move on before I get us in any more trouble? Why don't you start off with the MMA podcast you recommend people can't miss this week?
So technically, I couldn't narrow one down because I had so many podcasts I listened to clearly.
I've got 3 if that gives you any kind of tell as
And
to
I think
how
I'll
weird
let
this
you
week was.
take the lead as far as giving it much detail. What I'll just mention is the MMA Hour is fun to listen to for the first.
It was good.
Hour or so, fittingly. Of course, Luke Thomas is such a big boxing guy. He had to say immediately, "Were we robbed of one of the greatest comebacks ever in boxing history?" I know both you and I mentioned we would watch this fight. We should just mention it very quickly. What are your quick thoughts on the boxing match that happened? Because I don't want to talk about it later.
You know what? Keep talking because I'll pull up the text I sent you after the fight.
Oh, I remember.
Which I believe... Yeah, go ahead.
So, I think you said something, is boxing still like a trash fire or something like that?
Yeah,
or...
so boxing is officially a corrupt trash fire, huh?
Yeah.
Which,
So
100%.
I had...
There's one person who won
I
that
think
fight,
I had
and it's
8,
very
I
clear.
think I had like 9 rounds to 3, and then 2 of those 3 rounds that Wilder won were the 2 10-8s. Which, by the way, how the fuck did Fury get up from...
Which is still 7-5. Like, I don't know why. Brendan Schaub this week. Jesus Christ, with this fucking... Well, they were close rounds, so I don't know how you could... We're all biased for Tyson
This
Fury.
is the thing.
So I don't know how you could... We're like, no, dude, I'm not biased for Tyson Fury
It's
at all.
not the draw that's bad. It's the fact that the fucking judge who scored it for Wilder gave Wilder like the first 5 fucking rounds.
Yeah.
Like, no.
And the first 5 rounds and the 2 10-8 rounds where you're like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, that's what pissed me off.
Well, and what podcast was it this week? I'll go ahead and slip this in here. Slip and Dip episode 79, Paulie Malignaggi called in, and he explained perfectly, like he did on the broadcast, why it's fucking insane to give Wilder that fight. I believe the quotes were, "This is easy to understand even for an idiot. You have to either land more jabs or combos to win a round." And then his other quote was, "Boxing does it to itself," about how bad the judging hurts the sport.
Yeah. I mean...
100% nails it.
Yeah, and Teddy Atlas went on a fucking tirade, too, like in the post-show. Did you see that shit?
I didn't.
Literally, like, almost screaming.
Good. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. It was funny, too.
I thought the Canelo shit was bad, but this is like, probably way worse.
I don't like watching your comments, like, on social media because it's a bunch of casuals. But like, let me entertain myself for a minute. So I looked at this one guy's comment. He's like, how is a dude going to win a fight if he has 2 knockdowns? That's like me in a street fight. Some guy punches me 20 times in the face, but I still knock his ass out twice. I win, right? It's like, oh boy.
Well, I mean, I don't even necessarily agree with or disagree with the sentiment behind that.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just not at all how the scoring was.
It's not how the scoring was.
Pride rules.
Sport.
Yeah, Pride rules. Wilder won the fuck out of that fight, but it's not Pride rules, bruh.
The only way you can fucking legitimize Wilder winning outright is if it was 5 rounds. Like MMA, yeah, you have 2 knockdowns, you fucking win that fight. But
yeah.
You know, nope. But it was, yeah, I thought it was a fantastic boxing match. I had Fury winning that, but they need to sell the rematch because whatever, they would like more money. Luke discussed the differences between MMA and boxing judging, which I liked, hearing how he broke it down.
I also liked that he kept pointing out it's the same fucking people, so everybody needs to stop talking shit about how boxing judging is corrupt because it's the same goddamn people who judge MMA fights. Literally. Yeah.
Max. So then he started talking about Max Holloway for the main event. He said,
wait. Sorry. One real quick quote that I forgot to mention before we get to it. Luke Thomas said about why boxing and MMA judging is broken. We gave the keys to the kingdom to the people who run the fucking DMV. I added fucking for emphasis, but it's 100% accurate. That's the problem. Yep. The goddamn government regulating a sport judging is a terrible plan. It's always been a terrible plan.
Yeah,
Doug Crosby is the best example of this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, but anyway, you said Max called in?
Yeah, so, or no. Was it Max? Now I'm confused. I didn't even write down the first fucking guess. I had Juliana Pena after that. What she had to say.
Yeah, so Max called in briefly to talk about the Ortega fight and dealing with the media questions about the tough year.
That's what it was, yeah. He said he has to use other martial arts besides boxing to approach Ortega in the stand-up, especially to kind of nullify any level change attempt by Ortega. Max was also talking about, Luke had asked him, is winning, he said, we've seen people come back, whether it's from missing weight or injuries from adversity, and they came back to win the belt again, or, you know, he used Dominic Cruz when he beat Dillashaw as his example for his question. Is winning part of the process, you know, being a champion or just winning or just being successful in MMA, or is it a bonus? And Max agrees that it's just a bonus because he already knows who he is as a fighter, and him dealing with some of the stuff he dealt with, whether it's depression, which I think it mostly was. Throughout this year, he says it helped him realize who he already is. So I feel like even if Max were to lose tomorrow night, you're not going to see him bitter. You're not going to see, maybe he'll be a little bummed, sure. I think everyone would be, but I don't think he's going to take anything away from an Ortega win.
True.
If that's going to happen.
Win or lose, I hope we see him move up. He shouldn't be a 45
That's what
anymore.
Dana wants. So,
and the rare occasion where I agree with Dana, that weight cut's getting real hard on him.
yeah, it's
Like, he looked good at the weigh-ins, but still, like, if you're having head trouble, definitely don't keep cutting massive amounts of weight when you walk at 200 pounds.
he does cut an insane amount of weight, right?
I think he came into fight week for the fucking, was it the Conor fight? What fight was that? It wasn't Conor. It was, Habib. The Habib fight. He came in at like 190, I want to say. Something like that.
Yeah,
like
he's about
crazy
190.
high.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
Anyway.
Damn. 'Cause he's basically 6 foot tall.
Yeah, he's huge. He cuts a ton of weight. So the other stuff for MMA Hour, Juliana Pena called in, who actually in the background I have right now talking on screen with
On Kambachi,
Gilbert,
right?
Yeah, on Kambachi Americas with Gilbert. I almost said Burns twice, but Gilbert Melendez.
Yep. Fuck, sorry.
She mostly talked about her return, right?
Yeah, she talked about her return. She was talking about, I think she just had a kid.
Yep.
And she was talking about how the difference in training after pregnancy, birth, all that. Does it slow down the training? Is it easier to get back into the gym? You know, kind of put the pedal to the metal, or whatever kind of metaphor you want to use, to get back into your routine. And I think she says nothing's really changed. I think she says she's just been enjoying commentating so much that she hasn't really focused too much on fighting training again, or training for fighting.
She seems really hyped on Kambachi Americas, too.
Yeah, it was kind of... I hadn't heard from her in an interview in a long time, so it's kind of neat to kind of hear her again.
Same.
Because I know she's super talented still in that division, in that weight class. So
She gives a lot of those girls problems.
yeah, and I liked how enthused she was about just the bantamweight division in general. How she gave props to a lot of current fighters in that division. But I
mean, her last loss was against someone who's fighting for the title this weekend, so
Yep.
doesn't look that bad for her, you know?
No, it does not. That's all I had for that.
I think I had a couple quick notes on that, though. Michael Chandler Skyped in after that. Mostly talking about he's super fired up for the Primus rematch. And Hinner Skyped in to talk about the Brian fight and how Brian has really weird and creative setups that he thinks is a big key to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Overall, it was a solid episode for sure. It wasn't the top of my list for things I would have put, but it's definitely towards the top.
Yeah, and it's nice, like I've said before, knowing that I could click on something that says the MMA Hour, and it's very insightful.
And it's not, all right, thanks
there's
for
less
talking
filler.
to us, Valentina. Do you want to talk to Joanna right now?
Yeah. You know what? Joanna's actually in studio. Let's put her on video for you, too.
That's right. Hey, we have Greg Hardy and Rachel Ostovich in studios. Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. All right, so my can't miss. We'll go ahead and keep this moving since we're taking a bit, and I am meandering. My can't miss, I actually have 3 because there were 3 shows that in very different ways I think were important as shit to listen to this week. Well, maybe not important. One of them was important. The other two were fun as hell. The important one was the TSN MMA Show episode 67, which is the show hosted by Aaron Bronstetter. A lot of times he has Bazooka Joe Valtellini on, I believe, but Joe wasn't on. However, this episode, Aaron recapped UFC Adelaide and then played the interview with Dana White where he asked him about the Greg Hardy situation, which no one had done up to that point, and all the reporters in the building listened to the UFC PR team.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Chris? I want to ask you some questions since you just recently graduated from San Diego State University with a degree in journalism, correct?
Yes, I did.
So if a PR team for a sport you're covering tells you not to ask a question, what's the first thing you should probably do as a decent reporter?
I'm gonna ask the questions because it's objective.
100%.
It's the fucking point.
It's your entire job. You're not the PR team, so you don't listen to the PR team.
Yeah, no, that's their job is to deter you from doing that. Your job is literally to report the news. You have every right to ask questions. If they decide not to answer your questions, then that's that. That's all it is. You fucking
you
move
have
on.
to ask, right?
Yeah, you just still ask no matter what. And you just mentioned, you said Bronstetter was the one who asked Dana?
Yes. Yeah. ESPN Canada, Aaron Bronstetter.
Yeah, TSN. I'm glad he did that. As far as that whole what was the situation? Didn't Dana reply saying, "Oh, Greg Hardy was never charged"?
Oh, not only did he say he was never,
which is untrue, by the way. He was charged.
Well, it wasn't charged, but I forget the exact phrasing. But yeah, no. Either way, he fucking paid off the witness to not talk.
Yeah, that's actually fact.
It's literally fact. It's very clear. It's not like hard to figure that out.
They just called it like a settlement, which they 100%. Reached. Wink, wink. I paid my distraught girlfriend who I beat the shit out of like fucking $5 million. I think that's what the rule was.
And threw her on a pile of guns, if I remember right.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Fucking insane.
And the even worse thing is his other response from Dana White was, "Oh, I talked to Rachel Ostovich. She's cool with it, brah. He didn't hit her."
There's no way that's true.
No, it is true. She confirmed it. But
oh, really? Oh, well.
Also, she made 12-12 her last fucking fight in the UFC and is 1-1 with the company. She's not really in a position to be like, "Oh, fuck you, dog." Like if Ronda Rousey said something that he wouldn't be on the roster, but if Rachel Ostovich says something and she loses her fight, she's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I was quick to judge this because it was Dana, but I mean that makes sense though. It makes sense, unfortunately, from a financial standpoint.
Not really though, because also just put Greg Hardy on any other fucking card.
Well, no, I agree with that, but I'm just saying as far as like her, would you say Ostovich?
For the reason she said okay to it, yeah.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Well, you have to if you're her.
Oh no, but yeah, because you brought up that point, she'd be gone if she said something out. But that's the only reason why she's saying she's okay with it. It's because she.
Well, and even if she is okay with it, it's fucked up to put her in that situation. Pretty clearly, right? Yeah. Like she shouldn't have to okay a fucking domestic violence abuser put on the same card as her. Like that should not be what she has to worry about a month out from a fight. Yeah. Where she just got her eye socket broken by her fucking husband. Like that shouldn't have to happen. None of that conversation should have ever had to exist. Any other card.
Yeah. It's
I don't know. Yeah. So that is why I 100% wanted to shout out Aaron's show, the TSN MMA Show, this week, because he is doing the goddamn work everyone else should have. Like, literally, that must be like journalism ethics 101, right? Like, the first class you take on journalism ethics is don't listen to PR teams, because that's not your job.
Well, it's just, yeah, I think it's called the SPJ, like the Society of Professional Journalists or something like that of America, something like that. And you go to like the website, and you could literally see just like a guidelines to all the ethics of journalism and objectivity.
When they literally say,
basically, yeah, you just can't be swayed by just other, just other party sources when your main objective is to get the news. That's just
Right.
like saying hey, a robbery just occurred. What is it? A robbery just occurred at, say, like a Walmart, or something terrible happened. But
you
like
work for Walmart.
yeah, Walmart's like, hey, we can't have you, Union Tribune, reporting about this. It's like, fuck off. Yes, I can.
Yeah, 100%.
For,
Or
the
they're
First
like,
Amendment.
well,
You're just protected by the First Amendment. That's why.
The better example is more saying, oh, well, as Walmart, we do run ads on your newspaper, so you really, like, it would be people questioning whether or not they should run a story because their ad company was involved, essentially. I mean, that's why none of the journalists said shit. It's because they're all scared to lose access, Josh Grossler at a Hunt style, or Bloody Elbow style.
And there's that too, and unfortunately that it's happened before in the past. I think with big national newspapers where other people who
100%.
advertise to them threaten to say, you know what, we're going to stop giving you money. And sometimes it's just up to journalists. You either do what's right, which ethically you fucking still do the story,
right? Or you get popular and get a job for ESPN doing a gossip show.
Yeah, I mean this.
And paid by Fox.
That too. He's still getting paid. Yeah, that's right.
No, he's not still.
He's not
but
still.
How do you not? Anyway, I don't want to get back into that. We've gone down that road a couple times, but yeah, it's upsetting. It's fucking upsetting. And shouts to Aaron Bronstetter for being the only goddamn adult in the room to do their fucking job. Because it actually, and props to John Morgan, who also had an interview with Dana about it on the MMA Roadshow. He brought it up to Dana, which I didn't think he would do. Because John gets pretty good access, and I know John is kind of Dana's go-to guy nowadays for after Ariel for like, hey, I'll talk to you about this situation because I know you're not gonna completely fuck me on it. But John still asked hard fucking questions and kind of harped on it. Not as much as Aaron though, so I wanted to give a big shout out to Aaron. Also, there was other stuff that happened on this episode that was very good. He did mention Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, is actually going to be moving to Fight Pass unless ESPN signs a deal for it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised by that. I feel like that's something that would do all right on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I mean, and it might end up being on that. It's just they don't have a deal in place or anything yet, and their numbers are pretty bad. But this last season was actually pretty well. Half of the women's side of this last season was pretty good. All things considered. So, we'll see. Let's see. JJ did come on in person. They talked about the CN Tower in Toronto, and they actually went and hung out there. Evidently, Aaron said CN Tower is like one of those big, tall, like Stratosphere or the what's the Seattle Needle thing called?
The Space Needle, and then there's
Space
another
Needle.
one.
Yeah, it's like
there's
it's
a really
similar to
tall
that.
tower in Chicago. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I've been
The Chicago one is the Sears Tower.
That's
Or
right.
it used to be. It's probably not the Sears Tower anymore. Is Sears still a thing?
No, unfortunately not.
I didn't think so. But yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off style. But they talked about that. They actually went to the building because I guess Anna hadn't been there before, and she had him doing push-ups on like the glass floor, super high up and shit like that, which is kind of cool to hear. And speaking of ESPN lackeys, Ariel did join the show, and it was pretty okay. He talked about how they used to get in touch with fighters back in the day. Aaron and Ariel do. They actually if you're a journalist in the sport and you want tips on how to get in touch with fighters or how to reach out to them, they do basically a whole segment on it about Ariel blowing up people's Facebook pages and how you'll be surprised how many fighters will respond to a Facebook or like message. Even nowadays, like that's how they mostly get in touch with fighters, which is pretty interesting. So it's a cool interview, and overall it's just a good show. I enjoy it generally, but especially with the way he was the one dude with the balls who not only asked Dana a question, but asked him multiple follow-up questions that made him increasingly more uncomfortable. I have to give respect to that dude. Also, Arjan Bular joined in studio to talk about kind of his history in MMA and growing up, his like weird upcoming in the Sikh community or whatever he's in.
Yeah, I believe
good one.
Arjun's a Sikh. Yeah, but That all sounds very interesting. And I remember just from journalism assignments, whether it's an internship, if you need to get information from someone, you like you said, you'd be surprised how many personally respond to you and are actually touched by you reaching out. They usually, a lot of them really do appreciate it.
Especially in this sport. Like, good luck reaching out for a real sport like the NBA or the NFL, where you have to go through like 8 channels, or pro wrestling, where you have to go through like 8 channels just to get in touch with somebody.
Yeah, you gotta go through their agent and then their agent's agent or something, or their PR representative, blah, blah,
well,
blah,
no,
blah.
you have to go through their agent, who then runs it by the promotion, who then maybe okays it if anyone gets back to you ever, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's rough. So that was my one can't miss episode. I actually have a couple others that I want to run through briefly that I really, really enjoyed. Between Rounds with TJ DeSantis for the UFC 231 Roundtable was fucking incredible. They switched to Discord from Skype, which will improve the audio quality incredibly, especially with Jordan Breen and David Bixenspan on it, who notoriously Jordan Breen has the roughest audio issues, maybe outside of anyone other than Greg Savage on the on TJ's radio network. But it's just a good one. So Breen is located in Toronto, where this card is happening. So he talks about the feel, like, kind of in Toronto about UFC 231. And then from there, it just kind of turns crazy. Jeff Sherwood is also on this episode. And Bix and Breen just keep bringing up all of the chaotic factors that could fuck up this card. They start making hilarious comparisons of Diego Lima to Frank Stallone. which is fucked up but hilarious. David Bixenspan just cannot stop shitting on the light heavyweight division. Anytime there's a fight in the light heavyweight division, aside from the Thiago Santos fight, TJ's like, so David Bixenspan, what's your take on this? He just says no. It's pretty good. It's just a pretty good, like, goofy episode. TJ DeSantis also shouts out, makes an awesome reference to Rocco. They're talking about Anthony Rocco Martin, and he pauses and he goes, there's a Rocco's Martin life here joke here somewhere.
Hell yeah.
Which we 100% made last
Hell
week.
Yeah.
So shouts out to
Fuck
that.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Also, TJ was trying to keep the show to 90 minutes. But thanks to David Bixenspan and Jordan Breen, it blew past that to, like, I think an hour 55 or something like that. So it's just it's a fun episode. Bixenspan also actually, so they break down the entire card. They actually give good takes on all these fights, but there's a lot of deep references and jokes in between it. And Bixenspan actually makes a really interesting point that Joanna's never fought a southpaw in MMA, really.
Wow, that's very interesting. Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody mention that, and that's kind of a big factor in that fight that I didn't think about. I know they fought in Muay Thai 3 times, I think, and I'm sure she's fought southpaws in Muay Thai and kickboxing, but definitely hasn't fought any southpaws in MMA that I remember. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then lastly, I have my drunk pick, which was probably the funniest show this week, although David Bixenspan and Jordan Breen really tried to make a run for it with that one. Also, I should shout out, I didn't hear Collapsed MMA this week yet, because I haven't, I think it's UFC 66 or 67, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But Phonebooth Fighting, episode 221, the Swapcast with Doug Stanhope.
I haven't listened to Phonebooth Fighting in a while. How's this dude's doing?
This is the one to listen to. So it's Richard and Frank, right? And they're at their No Regrets bar in Vegas. By the way, there's video of all this. And they're hanging out with Joby, Doug Stanhope, Chad Shank, and Greg Chaley at this bar. So essentially, it's the entire Doug Stanhope podcast and Phonebooth Fighting hanging out. And they are hanging out directly after Richard Hunter's, I think it's amateur, I think it's amateur. It might be pro, but I think it's amateur MMA fight he had at Syndicate MMA. Because he did one of those programs where it's like, I forget, it's like Nerd to Hero or one of those things where you train for 5 months or whatever and then you have a fight. He's got to be AMI because it was in the gym. But they recorded it directly after the fight.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
it's pretty cool. So Richard talks about having a fight with a dude who they randomly, well, quote unquote, randomly decided who gets who in like who was in the class, because basically you trained with all these people the whole time, and then you have a fight with them. And Richard fought a dude who was 6'8" and 31 years younger than him.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So there's a whole lot of cool shit in this episode. They're definitely boozing hard. Chad Shank and Joby, who are big Invicta fans, talk about how they fangirled out over Roxanne Modafferi, who was in the gym, and they kind of freaked her out because they're giant, like, weird-looking dudes from Arizona who hang out with Doug Stanhope. And they were talking to Roxy like, "Oh, we're big fans. we love your fights. We've been fans since Invicta," which is fucking fantastic. A lot of celebrity death pool talk, since Joby is the guy who runs the Doug Stanhope Celebrity Death Pool, which is a lot of fun. And I know Richard and Frank both play that a lot. They talk about, pro wrestler Austin Aries comes on, who was interesting. He had some funny lines like, "Who knew steroids are vegan?" It's pretty good because he's a vegan. So he's like, "Oh yeah." I think it was Doug or somebody made the reference like, "Oh yeah, you're really jacked for a dude who's a vegan." He's like, "Yeah, who knew steroids are vegan?" Let's see. I'm not going to give away the result of Richard's fight, but let me just say they do talk about it, and it's real funny. In all the ways. Doug at one point shits on Dana White for pushing forward like arguments and controversy over actual fighters, which if fucking Doug Stanhope is saying your product is all about garbage, controversy, and TMZ bullshit, that's a bad sign, dog.
It is a bad sign.
He doesn't even follow the sport, and he's like fucking Conor McGregor. It's great. They at one point, Doug and Greg Chaley, I believe it was, asked Amir Sadala for ice for their drinks when they were at the fights because he was one of the guys cornering somebody. He's like, "Hey, you probably know where to get ice, right?" And he's like, "No, I have no idea where you guys can get ice."
That's amazing.
So I thought that was great. It's that kind of show. Chad Shank has the great line, "You've taken more shots today than Hunter," talking about Richard Hunter, which is great. Also, Doug Stanhope always refers to him as Dick Hunter because that's how he knew him back in the day.
See, that's such a fucking cool name, though.
Yeah, it's great. Especially when you work at the fucking Bunny Ranch before Dennis Hoff died.
Oh, that's right.
Which they actually talk about. Richard talks about doing PR for him. And then Richard's opponent from the fight actually gets on mic, and he's about 3 drinks in. They both talk about their game plans for the fight, which it was just pretty fucking cool and fun.
Fuck yeah, dude. That sounds really entertaining.
Yeah, it's fun as hell. We'll definitely tweet out. If you go to TSOV Pod on Twitter, I'll retweet the video they did. I think we already did, but I'll do it again. It's really funny and definitely worth checking out. So let's see. Did you listen to any new shows this week?
Unfortunately, I couldn't get any new shows in.
That's all right. I actually listened to a new show, and it's fucking incredible. Did you know Dennis Bermudez had a podcast?
Did you say Dennis Bermudez?
Yeah. Sorry, I clipped out.
No, I know he had a vlog of some sort on YouTube with like cooking, but I didn't know he had a podcast.
He has a podcast, and it's fucking awesome.
Is there like a certain premise to it, or is he just gonna talk about whatever comes to mind?
So it's him and his buddy Stan.
Okay.
And so for this episode, they had originally Stan opens up joking with Dennis Bermudez about how he wants to book a theoretical boxing exhibition fight with Cyborg and Dennis. And Dennis is not having any part of it. And then he, at one point, I guess Dennis on an earlier episode, this was episode 7, by the way, that I listened to. I guess on an earlier episode, he told Stan that he would take a Jean Volante leg kick for the listeners if they were interested in that, which would be fucking 260-pound dude leg kicking a 140-pound dude. Sounds not safe.
That doesn't sound smart.
Not at all. But it does sound pretty goddamn funny. So they just have a cool back and forth overall. Jessica I calls in and they're just busting balls the entire time. She talks about moving back to 125 in her fight with Chukagian. She also schools Dennis on weed and how it's good for you. And then Kamaru Usman calls in and he talks about his nickname Kush that he got from Mayhem Miller on Tough that he hates. And then Dennis keeps calling him.
Wait, Mayhem Miller gave him it on Tough? I don't remember seeing Mayhem on... I'm trying to remember, wait, when was Mayhem?
So Mayhem and Usman were coaches on Dennis Bermudez's season of Tough.
Oh, fuck, what season was that?
14, maybe? Something like that?
Oh, I see. So Usman is one of coaches for Mayhem then.
So, yeah, no, so
Mayhem
Usman...
versus Bisbing?
Like
that season?
I want to say
because TJ Dillashaw. Yeah, no, that's right.
That?
Yeah, because TJ Dillashaw.
Right.
It was featherweights and bantamweights. And
yeah,
Bermudez,
I think that's right. He won.
No, Diego Brandel won for featherweights.
Oh, right. He made it. It was him versus Brandel.
Brandel, yeah.
Right? That was a crazy fight.
God, now I gotta watch it. I don't remember seeing Kamaru Usman. I mean, I probably didn't know who the fuck he was then. I don't think
he was a wrestling coach, and that was before he ever at all trained in MMA.
Dude, I gotta see now. I gotta go back, dude, and watch because I remember I had texted. This was like probably a year or 2 years ago. I was watching someone's season. I think it was like season 12. I was like, hey, look who one of the coaches is, and it was a picture of Daniel Cormier in like a fucking yellow Tough shirt before he was even in MMA. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's some crazy coaches in the background of Tough over the years. And yeah, evidently they were. So Mayhem was outside smoking a joint and hanging out with Kamaru Usman, and at one point he's just like, "Yo, I'm smoking weed right now, and your first name, or maybe as he said is your last name, kind of sounds like Kush. I'm just gonna start calling you Kush." And Usman talks about it. He's like, I mean, I didn't smoke weed, and so I told him I don't think that's a great idea because it doesn't really make sense, and I don't. Why would you do that? And then the next day he comes to practice, and Mayhem starts calling him Kush. And then, so of course, Dennis Bermudez is calling him Kush the entire episode.
That's fucking amazing. I gotta watch it again. That's so funny.
It's really funny. And Dennis Bermudez and his buddy have a great back and forth. They're just very fucking funny together, and it's really underrated. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this episode. It could have been a catcher can't miss.
What's the name of it again?
It is the Menace and the Man, episode 7.
Okay, Menace and the Man. I'm gonna write this down, dude. That sounds funny as shit.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. They also talk about how after the Tough season, Dana White gave him $500 at the Spearmint Rhino to spend. Everyone on the cast. And then he also, they talk about some of the crazy shit that went down with that. And then they also talk about playing Call of Duty together, which is pretty great. Because they talk about how Kamaru Usman's trash and not great at COD, but he needs to get the new one.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. Overall, it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that was my one new show I listened to. I didn't have time for any others. Did you have a well-rounded show you wanted to shout out?
What was it?
Oh, we should mention the well-rounded shows are co-main event shout out about, they always do the, what is it? Things for the well-rounded fight fan?
Yeah,
something
I think that's
for the
what
well-rounded
it is.
fight fan. Anyway, basically, what's an MMA podcast that you listen to that is not MMA related? Or I should say a podcast you listen to that's not MMA related.
So, of course, I listen to old Billy Freckles, Billy Bulldog.
Billy fucking bah.
Whatever you want to call him. I also listen to, and I hadn't listened to before because I was pretty hyped with the NFL last week. And the NFL is such an easy sport to listen to for podcasts because I can't listen to anything NBA, mainly because I don't watch the NBA and because I feel like Kevin Durant ruined basketball, and I'll always say that to troll with actual NBA fans. I really don't actually give a fuck. I just always say that. But I listen to, these are the guys that are, they work for the NFL. Around the NFL is their segment that they have online, but I didn't know they had a podcast. And it's Dave Hansis, what's his name? Greg Rosenthal, and some other guy. Oh wait, here it is. Hold on. Hopefully it doesn't start playing. I'll go to the
name of it. The name of it is Around the NFL?
Yeah, it's Around the NFL. It's an NFL podcast. But they basically just kind of go, and what I like is they play different clips, like all their favorite highlights. So they start from like Thursday Night Football and progress just from the morning games all the way to like the Sunday night game, and they record it Sunday night. So at the very end, I got to hear him talk about the Chargers with their huge win over the Steelers. And it was just kind of interesting hearing them. I just kind of like the way they progress the podcast. They kind of add like their own inside jokes and humor to it. It kind of seems like if you were to take all your friends that you make at work, whether it's your journalist friends or any sort of coworkers that are your favorites, and you just all do a podcast together, because it seems that they all kind of have like a natural banter towards each other.
Nice.
Or they all like work next to each other. It was entertaining because I know usually I listen to like the fantasy football stuff. My team made the playoffs, but my team has a fuckload of key injuries, so I'm not gonna make it past the first round. That's just how it is in fantasy football. If your players are hurt, especially if you have running backs that are hurt, you're toast. So I'm not gonna make it. But either way, made the playoffs. Fuck it. Yeah, that was like my other stuff I listened to. I know I always beat myself up on this. I need to get back and catch up on the JRE. There's some other ones I need to catch up on. What was it? God damn it. I have like so many in my library here that I don't even listen to. Like, what was it? I don't even remember the last time I listened to What the Fuck with Mark Maron.
I gave up on that show so fucking long ago. He started, as soon as he got his TV show, that show, actually, as soon as he started dating that one young chick back in like 2016 or whatever, that show went to shit.
Oh, I know. Okay, so one podcast, and unfortunately he hasn't had an episode, and I think he's been busy since September. Handsome Rambler. I haven't listened to that in a while, but his last episode, Hannibal Buress, his is always funny.
I always forget he has one. Yeah.
Him and Tony Trim, who has all the cool special effects with the audio. And then another podcast I usually listen to. Oh, I guess he still has some episodes coming out. I haven't listened to probably about a year. Is You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes, because he always has really good guests.
He was just on First We Feast on Hot Ones.
Oh shit! Okay, I thought I saw that in my subscription feed, because I saw the one with Bill Burr, which is fucking hilarious.
Pete Holmes is one of my favorite old school comedy Bang Bang guests. Him and Paul F. Tompkins are like the best combo on that show.
Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to this. He just had Fred Armisen on. Wow, it's 3 hours long. That's gotta be funny.
Should be interesting for sure.
Yeah, that reminds me of when when Portlandia was on Netflix. I would just go to my the favorite skits that they'd have on there, and the one I always like the most is, since I'm in the restaurant industry, is the one where they're in fucking, of course, Portland, and since they're so hipster, they have a menu. It shows what the name of the chicken that they're gonna eat is. And they keep asking, "Is the chicken
pretty
local?"
Good.
I know you've seen it, but I just like if actors can make shit really awkward but you still laugh. I think that's the best kind of like comedy. Like if you almost feel uncomfortable but you can't help but laugh.
Oh, you mean my favorite example of that of all time is Jason Tebow from Punch Drunk Sports. That dude will say the most horrific shit, like, but you can't help but laugh. Like him referring to his lesbian mother as mama faggot, shit like that. We were like, oh god, that's horrific, but also very funny.
Yeah.
He always has my. He makes the most of the fucked. Him and Doug Stanhope make the most fucked up jokes in the funniest way possible.
Yeah, them, and there's honorable mention, and I don't give a fuck about the country. Louis C.K. always makes me laugh the most fucked up way possible. I'm glad we do this part of the thing. It's kind of a good little distraction. Anyways, how about you?
Especially after this fucked up MMA media week we've had.
It's just been, dude. This week's been so weird.
It's been fucked up in a lot of ways. We're not talking about so we're recording this Friday night, and there was a big news story that broke, but I haven't seen it confirmed, so we're not going to talk about it. But fucked up. Anyway, on to a lighter note. Vlad the Impaler. So Pat Wyman did a Tides of History episode about Vlad the Impaler. I don't know if you know much about Vlad the Impaler.
I remember he was
He's like OG Dracula.
Yeah, so I remember he was a guy, I don't know if he was like Russian or what they considered like Slavic, so I think this is like 1,000 years ago or something crazy.
I'm so bad at that kind
if
of
I
geography.
remember he was a I think he was a fantastic like a war tactician or like a general, but he would do fear tactics. I think he was one of the first guys to do fear tactics like in war, and he would, I think, wouldn't he impale his fucking like the dead corpses like on stakes or like fillet. What would he do?
So I'm only a little bit into this episode, but it's from the little bit I've heard, it's gonna be fantastic. So
I think the term
I wanted to shout that out.
I don't know if it's fillet. It's not fillet. There's a term. No. It's when you. You're not like crucifying someone. It's basically when their legs are spread out and then their arms spread out, kind of like an A or like a jumping jack. Like in midair, like on like these wooden sticks. But they fucking peel the skin off the enemies. I remember they did in Game of Thrones. I can't remember what the fuck that's called. It's really disgusting.
I can't either, off the top of my head. But yeah, it's you can tell it's gonna be a good episode from the bit I've heard of it. And I'm excited to get back to it. I just haven't had time to finish it yet. And the other podcast I wanted to shout out was Doug Stanhope Podcast, episode 288, Tears and Laughter on Our Way to Vegas. It's fucking great. They basically tell a very cool story about hanging out in the Delta Sky Club and a crazy series of events happening, and it's a lot of fun. And then they talk about how Chad Shank almost fought someone on an airplane in the next flight to Vegas. So,
of course.
It's pretty great. I highly recommend it.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. Is there any other shows you wanted to shout out that you heard?
Unfortunately, not at this time. But
that's all right, because we're already running way over.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we are. Oh, wow.
I'll mention here very briefly MMA Ratings Podcast, episode 106 with Raphael and Schwan. It was really good. Talked about 231 and the Hardy situation. They had really interesting take on the Hardy situation that I really respected. So wanted to shout that out. And their breakdown of the 231 main card was very solid. JRE MMA Show, episode 50. This could have been on my catch list. Maybe should have been. Eve Edwards was on, and they talked a lot about the Lozon brothers fighting at barbecues in their house, feeding old lions to young guys, and the PFL tournament. They also mentioned they might do a fight companion together, which will be dope. The Churchill What's Happening Now, episode 641. I almost put this on all three categories this week. This was almost a catch, almost a skip, and almost a can't miss, because Joey Diaz got Jake Ellenberger so goddamn high he didn't talk the entire episode.
That's great.
Like, they would ask Jake Ellenberger a question, and Jake Ellenberger would take a deep breath and try and answer with his eyes closed, and then just give up. And here's a quote: "We should not have done those bong hits tonight. Those bong hits were uncalled for, Lee Sayat."
Was Lee just like
100%. They're smoking I forget the name of the weed. Joey just tweeted it out. It's a 32% THC indica.
Yeah, I remember after
high.
work,
That's
I've told you this already a bunch of times. I remember he said, "Hey, you want to hit my pen?" And I usually don't hit pens because I don't want to say I don't trust oil. I just feel like it's way more concentrated.
Oh, 100%.
And I was like, "This indica," right? So yeah, man, you're good. And my tolerance is shit. I took one decent, big puff. I was like, "Hey, what's the THC in that?" "Oh, it's 33.5%. I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, almost fell asleep driving back home.
Checks
at
out.
the wheel.
And also,
at the wheel, legit. My eyes were so heavy. I was like, oh boy.
Even worse than that, this was just weed. This wasn't even oil.
Jesus, that's some strong
death
shit.
Weed. Yeah. Joey gets
God.
that death weed. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's very funny if you want to see Jake Ellenberger struggle to answer questions about what he eats after fights because he's too high to talk about it.
Is he just
you see him try, you see him try and then be like, "This is impossible," and then Joey or Lee saves him, and they talk about cereal for another 20 minutes. It's great. It's great. He literally maybe says 50 words total on a 2-hour podcast. He tries to talk about 50 times, but maybe says about 50 words.
Oh boy.
It's real good. Slip and Dip episode 79 was solid. That was one where they had Paulie Malignaggi call in, talk about how boxing does it to itself. Cynthia Calvillo also Skypes in. Heavy Hands 240 was solid. Just their breakdown of the 231. I think it was, I don't remember which one. I don't remember if it was Greg or it's Greg. What am I talking about? Phil. Fucking evil Greg Jackson. Phil McKenzie. Or Connor, who mentioned that Holloway's pivot and lateral movement should be key in that fight.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned that they joked about the terrible striking defense of Cowboy Oliveira and Gunnar Nelson, which is hilarious. When they talk about how Cowboy Oliveira literally gets hit by more strikes than he avoids.
Yeah.
And then the only other one I had to shout out, Behind the Paywall was really good. That's Dean Thomas and TJ DeSantis. They had a mystery guest call. Oh, sorry. It's Jeff Sherwood, and I ruined it. Jeff Sherwood and TJ. They had a mystery guest call in who does a crazy English and Australian accent for a while. It turns out it was Dean Thomas. Did not sound like Dean Thomas.
That's fucking
It's
hilarious.
pretty fun. They also talk about the... Oh, dude, I thought he was... I was trying to figure out what white dude is from... I forget if it was New Hampshire or whatever state he's from. Vermont? Some weird... Whatever weird state he's from. Yeah, I had zero idea it was Dean Thomas until he said it. MMA Hour 460. We talked about a bit. Obviously, Fight Talk episode 4, which is not... It's only kind of episode 4 since they moved to MMA On Point. Jimmy Smith called in, which was cool, and Reese McKee called in. Talk about the Cage Warriors 100 card, which is going to be dope. And then other than that, CME was good. But that is what I had.
Nice, man. Okay.
We should real quick for news this week before we move on to our picks. Last week, I believe I called Eddie Hearn Paul Heyman when talking about the fucking... I believe I mixed those two names up. So that would have been weird if you listened to that and you're like, what the fuck? Why is he talking about Paul Heyman? In regards to a Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight. Definitely didn't mean Paul Heyman. I'm gonna blame that on a Laps fan for sure. Kareem Zidane told us this week on Twitter that he'll be announcing his new podcast soon, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of push notifications for that.
Yeah,
cool.
Sorry, we blew up your phone a little bit this week on Twitter.
I like seeing that.
I've been we've been busy on Twitter. If you guys aren't following us, TSOV Pod, we broke that news that Kareem has a podcast coming out, which there's been rumors about, but he confirmed that he's going to be doing one. Let's see, Bisping is going to be on the Joe Rogan Experience on the 11th, and Wilder's going to be on the 10th, which will be cool. Stipe has a Twitch channel, which is Stipe_Miocic or Stipe__Miocic. It's hard to tell.
He just plays Call of Duty or some shit. I can't remember.
Probably, yeah.
Or
I know him and Volante love
he plays
first-person
PUBG
shooters.
also.
Yeah, him and Volante love first-person shooters. Moicano blew weight for the fights, even though he was the backup for the main event.
I saw that.
That was pretty great. Epic Fighting 41 down here in San Diego is going to be back at the 4 Points Hotel on February 22nd.
Ooh.
Which we should definitely go to.
We should go to that.
And I think the promoter hit us up this week and was like, said thanks for giving him a shout out. So cheers to that dude. And also cheers to TJ DeSantis, who hit me up this week saying he listened to a podcast we did and he enjoyed it. So that was cool to hear. And he put out one of my favorite podcasts this week where Jordan Breen and Dave Bixenspan basically just went off topic for 2 hours about the fights. Dude, so do you know how many cards there are this weekend? Have you looked at it?
No, dude, I just know, honestly, there's just 231, and then there's that Lomachenko fight.
Yep. So just tonight when we're recording, actually while we're recording, Kombache 27 is going on with the one-night tourney. TKO 45 is either still going or has wrapped up, and that's in Montreal, whereas 231 is in Toronto, up in Canada. One had a card earlier today, and then tomorrow on Saturday there's Glory 62, Cage Warriors 100, UFC 231, the Lomachenko fight, Clarissa Shields versus
Holy shit.
Franca Hermans, and Pancrase 302.
That's a lot.
which is already a crazy weekend. And then on Sunday, there's Polaris 8 and EBI 18, which, holy shit, is Polaris 8 dope. Do you know anything about Polaris?
I know. I've heard of the promotion multiple times. I think
they're a grappling event in over, I believe, in the UK. I think this event is in Wales. But dude, listen to some of these names. So first off, they have Brett Johns on there.
Okay.
On the prelims. They also have Imanari versus Gordon Ryan's little brother, which will be fucking fire. And Gordon Ryan's little brother is about to make some people real sad. Satoshi Ishii is taking on Daniel Strauss, which is crazy. Wagner Hocha is taking on Benson Henderson, and Keenan Cornelius is taking on Craig Jones.
Dude, that sounds
killer. It's a fucking stacked card, and it's on Fight Pass. So definitely check that out on Sunday. It's gonna be crazy. That is an absolutely insane grappling event. So highly recommend taking a look at that. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap here. And we will be back here in a minute with our UFC 231 picks, which this card is dope.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
And everyone made weight except for Mike Cano, who's not even fighting. So that's a great sign, too.
Alrighty.
Cool. So we will be back. Go ahead and listen to this clip that I don't know what it is yet. It's probably one of the quotes I said earlier.
Remember that you have to down your drink any time that Valentina Shevchenko throws a spin kick from on her left leg and misses entirely. I'm teasing, but like she has some very, very noticeable habits that don't actually add anything to her game. Honestly, I just hope that it's an absolute banger.
All right, everyone. We are back.
Yeah, we are.
Glorious Q.
That's right.
We've got UFC 231, another pay-per-view headed your way. Actually, we have two this month, but the first of the pay-per-views for December is 231 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, featuring the main event of Max Blessed Holloway versus Brian T-City Ortega for the UFC Featherweight Championship of the World.
Yeah, this is a dope card.
And the co-main event, if I may quickly add, is the Flyweight Championship, the now new Flyweight Championship. Well, it's for the real...
You mean the real Flyweight Championship?
Yeah, for the real Flyweight.
The non-tough.
Valentina Shevchenko versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Two fighters that have fought in the past, albeit in Muay Thai, and we'll get into that later. There's so many good fights on this card.
Absolutely.
Underrated fights, you might even add.
Definitely. Before we jump into it, what are you drinking on the same beer still?
Nope. I've switched over to
not the driest beer in the world.
Something easier to drink. Stella Artois, but in a can.
Oh, so the good Stella that doesn't taste like fucking
because
super oxidized.
I remember you were telling me you're like any beer that's in a green bottle, a la Stella or Heineken, drink it in a can. I'm like, that's a very good point.
That way it doesn't taste skunky as fuck.
So it's funny because it's in a 19.5 ounce. It's like technically just a 20 ounce tall boy, but Stella Artois cans are skinnier, so it's like a really, really long can. It's kind of
funny. Somebody else does that too.
I kind of like it though. It's just a really clean design.
Sierra Nevada BFD, I think, is in a similar can.
Yeah, man, Stella's always just one of my favorite European beers. It's a very easy to drink beer.
Definitely. I am drinking Boom Sauce by Lord Hobo Brewing Company, which is like one of those unfiltered New England IPAs that everybody's really high on. It's alright. It's alright. I should check a date on this. Is there a date? Well, okay. This was canned in June, so that's why it's only
Okay.
Because IPAs that are fucking 6 months old do not hold up well.
That's
just good math. It's, to be fair, it's totally fine. It's just not at all. it doesn't have that fresh New England fucking hot milkshake taste that I do have another beer that I'm going to open here shortly that should be the exact opposite. So I will intro that when we get to it. But Chris, why don't you start us off for this UFC 231 card so we can get into our picks?
So I did some tape study for once in life.
Oh shit, Chris, you're gonna get every fight wrong now. Concerning the last one that he picked.
I only honestly wrote down notes because I got distracted yesterday for a couple fights. So I'll just do the tape study fights. They're just like more in-depth notes based on what I've seen with my eyeballs, or I should say more recent memories. So the first one.
Actually, you know what? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But before we get to that, I did want to shout out Cage Warriors 100 that's on tomorrow is really dope. They have the vacant 145 title, which is vacant because Nad Narimani went to the UFC. So that's Shore versus... God damn it. Who did Shore fight? Ikundayo, I think it is, that he's fighting. That should be a dope fight. I definitely like Shore in that one, but Ikundayo he has his moments for sure, even though he lost every minute of the Mearns fight in Bellator 200 until Mearns' arm fell off. And they also have a fight for the vacant 135 title that Nathaniel Wood just left for the UFC, which is Dean Truman versus God damn it, I forget who the other dude is. I'll pull it up. But also on that card is Nicholas Dalby, and it's just pretty stacked with action fights all around. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Should be fun. Dean Truman is fighting Aiden Lee. That's right. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun fight card, and it's on Fight Pass tomorrow. So if you guys are looking for some midday fights, definitely I would highly recommend that.
Hell yeah, man! Good to know.
Cool.
So let's kick this shit off real quick. Our first fight of the night is a light heavyweight bout between Austrian fighter Alexander Rakic, with a professional record of 10 wins, 1 loss, going up against American Devin Brown Bear Clark with a professional record of 9 wins, 2 losses. I'm just going to go ahead and say my quick fight notes real quick that I have. The fight I watched from Rakic was his most recent fight against former UFC heavyweight and former professional boxer Justin Ledet. I watched this fight because I wanted to see Rakic's game against someone with really good striking, or just kind of just on the feet. I want to see, and what I noticed is it was Rakic at the time, his 3rd UFC appearance. Rakic hits very, very, very hard. For as far as just his output and volume, like early in the fight, he's not swinging for the fences. But I noticed with a top heavy boxer such as Ledet was in that fight, he likes to go to the outside leg kicks, and he has really, really violent leg kicks.
Yeah, heavy fucking kicks, and he's from Southpaw.
That too. He does have KO power. He didn't knock out Ledet. He clipped him a couple times. I mean, Ledet was a boxer before, so I think he has a pretty fucking good chin, and that's a former heavyweight he's fighting. But when I saw Rakic, the guy is such a big light heavyweight. I think he's 6 foot... What was it? 4. Yeah, he's fucking huge. His only loss was via submission. He's a strong and physical guy. You might call him a specimen. Since he's white, you might call him scrappy. Whatever kind of fucking stupid thing you want to call white athletes, do it. You know, they do it in the NFL all the time. It's great. He's the first guy in, last guy out. And for someone his size and at that weight class, he has decent top control. I was actually really impressed. But the most thing I'm impressed about him and what I'm looking forward to is the way he imposes those leg kicks, whether it's inside or outside, and the way this dude just is so goddamn violent when he's in mount and in top control.
Yeah,
Devin
his top
Clark.
game is nasty.
Devin Clark. He is 6 feet tall. I think he's considered smaller or like an average light heavyweight. I can't remember really what height.
I don't know. He seems long as shit.
Either way, he's very explosive. I watched his fight against Mike Rodriguez. That was the last time we saw him. I know it's a little bit different. You guys are used to me hearing say that. Last time we saw him was at UFC 223. He fought Mike Ramirez. That's the fight I wrote notes on. Devin Clark's very explosive on the feet. His reach is, I would think that it's considered average for that weight class. It's 75 inches. so he doesn't have crazy reach. It's still not bad.
He fights
I guess
long, though, for sure.
Yeah. He makes up for his small size at 205 with his NCAA All-American wrestling. He has very good takedowns and very good trips. Notice he tripped Mike Rodriguez a lot. And Mike Rodriguez is a guy who throws a lot of heavy punches. He actually clipped Devin Clark quite a bit. And Clark's chin was holding up pretty well, too. Because, once you start getting up into just those higher weight classes, obviously, because of more weight, naturally, you can be prone to getting knocked out or knocking other people out, depending on how hard you throw, if you got a natural power. One thing, though, I didn't like about Clark, or I should say notice, is he has a very big weakness to outside leg kicks and inside leg kicks, which is not going to bode well when going up against such a violent leg kicker such as Alexander Rakic.
For sure.
Wrestling is Clark's bread and butter.
He dominated Rodriguez in that fight.
Striking against longer fighters, like you mentioned, too, that could be an issue. He fights long, though. It doesn't show the reach here for Rakic, but he's 6'4", so I'd imagine it's like at least 77, 78.
He seems real long, and
he looked like a big son of a bitch.
And Devin Clark looked good against Mike Rodriguez, who is a big, tall, long motherfucker.
So this is what makes it a little interesting. I know, who is it? Was it Heavy Hand? Not Heavy Hands. It's the Vivisection. They're all in on Rakic. He's going to be my pick, too. However, I won't be surprised if Devin Clark wins via WrestleFuck. But I am actually going to pick Rakic by TKO. I saw Clark's chin tested against a heavy hitter in Mike Rodriguez. And Rakic just fights so fucking violently. I think he's going to be able to clip him with something. Especially with having the size advantage.
What round do you see it?
I'm thinking round 3. I think Clark's gonna get some takedowns, but he'll gas out. I mean, I know it'll definitely tire out Rakic as well. But I think if you already throw that hard, you're gonna use the. I think it'll be one of those where you're thinking Clark's about to win. I think he just gets clipped, and you're like, holy shit! One of those kind of scenarios. Even though it's a stupid fucking kind of prediction, but
nah, I mean, I've honestly been going back and forth on this one for the similar reasons. Just because Devin Clark so soundly outgrappled Mike Rodriguez over 3 rounds in his last fight, and Rakic does a couple. He also outgrappled the shit out of who was the default last? Justin Ledet. But Justin Ledet gets outgrappled by everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know a ton about Mike Rodriguez, so it's definitely tough.
Holy
the
shit.
one thing that Rakic does that makes me nervous is he keeps his power hand really low. Or sorry, his lead hand really low.
I noticed that.
It's really low. Like he'll keep his power hand right on. Like he almost has like a Dan Henderson style defense to strikes, where that lead hand is really low, but his power hand is right by his chin. A lot of the time, at least, and that makes me a little nervous. He caught some fucking hands early in that fight against Ledet, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go Rakic, mostly just because he's looking way too dynamic, and I haven't seen Devin Clark perform against anybody that is a high enough caliber for me to be confident in taking him to outwork not Mike Rodriguez, to outwork Rakic over 3 rounds.
Yep, that's fair.
So I'm gonna take it by decision.
By the way, what would you guess the odds are?
Gotta lean Rakic is the favorite, probably, but I'm not this one probably should be. It's light heavy, so it shouldn't. I would think it should be pretty even.
Okay, how about this? According to Bovada, Rakic is a minus 650 to a plus 425.
Whoa, that seems wide. Just because dude still hits hard and is a okay grappler.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good grappler, but in MMA grappling kind of thing.
The lowest odds I have him, or as far as not widest odds, well, the widest odds, according to William H.
William H. Don't even read those fucking odds, because William H's odds are garbage. I don't know what that just recently showed up on Best Fight Odds, and it's garbage. Their odds are crazy.
Yeah, Bet Online is minus 500 for Rakic. That's the lowest I've seen. Other than that, Bet
that still
DSI,
seems
who
so
I know
wide.
is a big sponsor for a lot of podcasts, is minus 597 for Rockage.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So moving on, we have a lightweight bout between Brazilian Diego Ferreira and Canadian Kyle Nelson. Diego Ferreira has a professional record of 13 wins, 2 losses, to Kyle Nelson's 12 wins, 1 loss. Last time we saw Diego Ferreira, he fought last February of this year against Jared Gordon in a fight where he knocked him out in the last 2 minutes of the first round. I have a couple of notes on that. Ferreira has been a UFC veteran since 2014. I noticed in the fight that he against Gordon, he's not afraid to just literally have like launching stand, like he launches his knees from like almost just a standing striking position from just his stand up guard, which is interesting. He'll just like lunge him forward.
Yeah, he has
kinda
no
turn it into a clinch.
hesitation in the pocket
Yeah.
either.
He has good cardio, at least in that fight. Decent takedown defense against his opponent at that time. His top control was really good. It was actually very good because he used his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to trap Gordon's arm behind his own back.
That shit was
where he-
nasty,
Yeah.
right?
And he turned it into some massive ground and pound, which ended the fight.
Yeah, he basically trapped one of his, like, he kind of half Nelsoned him and used the other hand to punch. Like, not like actual half Nelson form, but like he essentially trapped one of his hands behind his back from back mount and just pounded him out with the other one. It was real nasty.
And then Kyle Nelson, who I would love to have tape study on, but I don't.
Dude, you had to
because
dig
it's-
deep on Google, and even then, all the tape study I found was like 1 minute clips of
So
him
why don't-
smashing a dude.
Why don't you give some tape study on this for him? By the way, this dude's got some hairy fucking looking forearms. Holy shit.
I don't have a ton of info on him. There's not a lot of footage out there. From what I saw, he mostly throws bombs. He has some nasty ground and pound, but the level of competition he's faced is just not anywhere up near Fajeda's level. And Fajeda, I just think that his style is going to be and grappling ability is going to be a real fucking problem for Kyle. Because a lot of Kyle's wins have come from top control smashing dudes, and I don't see him getting top control on Diego Fajeda. Or if he does, I think he might be in a lot of trouble on the ground.
Yeah.
So I am definitely taking Fajeda. I actually have Fajeda in fantasy as my flex in both the leagues we're in. So
That's smart.
I got him. I'm gonna say sub in the first, but it might go knockout depending on how wild Kyle Nelson gets on the feet.
Okay. So, I 100% have Diego Ferreira in this as well. I see. I don't know much about Nelson. I can't remember if he's been knocked out. Let me see. Or he hasn't. I mean,
His one loss as a pro was by decision, and his one loss as an AMI was by decision.
yeah, I think I'm just going Ferreira decision.
That's probably smart. That's probably the smart pick. I'm too confident in how fucking dominant he's been in some of these fucking fights. And Kyle Nelson could be a goddamn beast. If he shows up and looks like he does in some of his AMI fights, not AMI fights, but regional fights, he could be a goddamn monster. It's hard with the level of competition he's facing to tell. And the quality of footage I've seen to tell. So, but I'm leaning Fajeda pretty hard.
So the odds on this, there are no odds from Bovada, but everything I see here looks like it's more or less leaning on a minus 450 in favor of Fajeda to a plus 325 Nelson.
That sounds about right. Maybe, I would say, yeah, that's probably about right. We don't know enough about Nelson to make it any wider, but also, based on the little bit I have seen, that's kind of where I would put it.
So this next fight we have is a welterweight bout.
In honor of David Bixenspan and Jordan Breen, I'm going to go ahead and just say right now, Chad LaPrace is going to kill Diego Lima in a round.
Yeah, I was just going to say this.
I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase on this.
All I was going to say is I wrote some notes down, but I realized, wait, Diego Lima's last fight was against Yushin Okami. I watched that fight again. I was like, wait, I remember why I hated this fight and every second of it. Sorry, Diego Lima. I don't see you winning at all. So yeah, Chad LaPree real quickly has very good footwork. At least in the fight I saw. Which fight was that? A fight that he lost to Luque.
Yeah, he circles well. The problem is he kept circling to Luque's power side that entire fight.
I did notice that. Yeah.
But he's had good performance. He still didn't look terrible up until he got caught.
He almost still he's just kind of getting better still. Like just the more people he fights.
He's definitely been growing a lot. But I just have trouble seeing this not looking like this has to look like a more impressive version of the Cambozi fight is all I can see over and over again.
Yeah, Diego, I can't remember how LaPree's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is or his defense is in guard, like on his back. Not sure.
Well, he's out of TriStar, so his grappling is pretty fucking solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his wrestling game is, while it's not like NCAA level, it is very decent. Especially up against Cage. He's good in clinch exchanges.
What would you say Diego Lima's keys to victory are here? Probably just some
losing a decision would be his key to victory.
Yeah.
Not getting finished.
Not getting embarrassed. Yeah.
His last win was against Tom Galicchio.
Oh, shit. I like Toothless Tom too, but let's be real.
I do too, but yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, so we got that. So the odds on this fight, minus 400 for Chad LaPree. By the way, I'm thinking he's going TKO. That's my
I was going
get.
to ask you, early or late?
I got second round, so like
Second?
middle-ish.
That's probably actually the right answer. I'm going KO first just because number one, I have him in fantasy also. And I have all the huge favorites in fantasy on this card, basically. And number two, I just don't trust Diego Lima to not get dominated on the ground very quick or on the feet very quickly by Chad.
Okay. Next up we have a featherweight bout.
Yeah. Good old tough alum.
Yeah, so Brad Katona, is he the guy from SPG?
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yep.
this guy has some legit stuff.
Yeah.
For the most part. From what I saw. At least for his age.
He's looked good against who he's fought, but again, his last fight was Jay Cuccinello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a weird fight, too.
Yeah.
I should say he has good stuff for his age. He looks pretty good.
Yeah.
7-0. He's Canadian, 26 years old. He's from Winnipeg, in the province of Manitoba, Canada. Fighting at a Dublin, Ireland, because he trains at Conor McGregor's gym. Yes, I said Conor McGregor's gym.
Is it?
It's not, but I like the joke. I just like to go with it.
I was going to say, I'm not even sure. I mean, Conor McGregor hasn't spoke to Kavanaugh since that Habib fight, so.
That's the thing, too. Like, I remember when I saw Kavanaugh, like, a lot of his interview, he seems like such a cool, level-headed dude. It's almost kind of insane that he'd be the coach of someone like McGregor.
True, but also I don't trust anybody anymore about anything after what happened today. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't want to get into it. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, but I'm just going. Yeah, I'm going off the Rogan interview. But yes, I know what you're saying. Matthew Lopez is his opponent. The American fighter is 10-3. He's 31 years old. Last time we saw him, he's on a 2-fight skid. But look who he's fought. Holy shit, Alejandro Perez. No shame in that. I know he got finished. But then before that, he got finished by... Oh, that was that gnarly knockout that Sunso got him. It was like that hook. It was a left hook that cut him on the fucking jaw.
I think so,
temple.
yeah.
Before that, he defeated Johnny Eduardo and then Mitch Gagnon, a decision. Yeah, he's been fighting through a couple of scrappy motherfuckers. I don't really have much... I don't have any notes or do too much tape study of this. What do you think of this fight? Because my gut leans towards Lopez in this.
That's the problem I've been having too. Is my gut says Lopez, but my head says Katona by decision. I think I'm gonna go Katona by decision, just because I don't. Katona. nothing about Katona's resume says he should win that fight. However, he's able to pretty consistently land check hooks against Cuccinello over and over and over again. And he has that light footwork where he doesn't throw a lot, but he will just pot shot the shit out of somebody. And he has a pretty decent top game. And he's pretty good in scrambles. I think really this comes down to, can Matthew Lopez get this to the ground and win scrambles over and over again? Because if he can, he'll fuck Brad Katona up. He will. I think it'll go to decision either way. But if Matthew Lopez can consistently get it to the ground and get Katona's back or get in dominant positions, because he got Alejandro Perez's back in the first round pretty easily. I mean, it was through a series of scrambles, but he was able to get his back and maintain it for a good chunk of the first round anyway. And I think if Brad Katona can't win the scrambling exchanges, he 100% loses this fight. However, I think I just have to take Brad Katona by decision by just pot-shotting and barely winning every scrambling exchange, or at least being able to disengage from scrambling exchanges and getting back to pot-shotting. So I'm going to take Katona, but with little to no faith in it.
So I'm taking Katona too, but mostly I think it's going to be a decision as well, because I can't remember if he has KO power. But I noticed that
he dropped a Cuccinello twice, I believe, in that fight, but also it's Cuccinello, so I don't know how much weight to put in that.
I think I might go with Katona via late TKO finish, only because Lopez has been finished in his last two fights. He's been knocked out twice in just a year. I never like that.
It's true, but his last fight was a while back. It was in April.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things that is, if you're getting knocked out, I feel like you're still gonna keep getting knocked out, unfortunately, or you're just more prone to that shit.
So are you leaning TKO third, or are you leaning decision?
I think it'd be late. Yeah, third. The shots are gonna add up.
Grind and pound or on the feet?
On the feet.
Interesting. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Yeah, I think Brad Katona's. If Brad Katona starts losing those grappling exchanges late, if Matthew Lopez starts really losing him and gassing late, that's gonna be a fucking problem for him.
Yeah.
So should be interesting either way. What are the odds looking like on that?
The odds on this.
Gotta think Katona's a favorite.
Let's find out.
Maybe like barely, like 120.
He is a minus 190 to a plus 155.
That seems too wide.
I think so too.
I would put Lopez at like plus 135 ish.
So next up,
maybe not even that wide.
Yeah.
This next fight is going to be fun and frustrating. Every one of these fights.
Yeah. So we got your boy, Eric Andre, the American, going up against Canadian, a.k.a. King Cannabis, or as he's really known as, the Spartan, Elias Theodoro.
Or the main event.
Or Invicta Ringboy.
Excuse you. I believe it's a Phoenix guy or whatever the fuck he's called.
I have no idea.
I know that TJ tried to distinguish it on the Between Rounds Roundtable and also kind of gave up on it distinguishing it during that. So either way, all around bad motherfucker and great podcast host, Elias Theodoro. You know what? Elias reminds me a lot of Patrick Cote. I'm not in his fight style at all, but 100% in his personality and ability to talk on mic.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Jordan Breen mentioned that he thinks Elias Theodoro seems like one of those guys who's going to get out of the sport early and work a desk job for a major Canadian sports network for the rest of his time, and I 100% see that as well. Because his podcast is great. The Main Event Podcast, I think it is, or is it Spartan and something?
I think it's the Main Event.
I think so. All these fucking fighters change their podcast names a lot, so I believe it's the Main Event Podcast, MANE.
Just imagine if we wanted to confuse everyone, hey guys, we're rebranding. Now we're called the Sound of Violence 2. That's it.
Yeah. No, 100%. No, it would have to be more frustrating than that.
Too sound, too violence.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the joke I was looking for that I couldn't figure out. That was perfect. Speaking of too much sound and too much violence, Eric Anders, despite looking great all the time, man, this dude does not do himself any favors in his matchmaking.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, who did he fight last? Fucking Thiago Santos?
On super late notice, and this is
Who's
again
on this card too, I
super
believe?
late notice. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Before that, he fought Tim Williams, who he knocked out like in the last 15 seconds of the fight.
Yeah.
Which was
Punted
crazy.
his goddamn head.
That's
as
a
he was standing
a
up.
fight that he was losing.
Yeah, which everybody had him winning going into it.
Before that, he lost to Lyoto Machida. Fight
How
that I
dare
think he
you?
won.
No, he didn't.
I think he won that fight.
Exactly.
Elias Theodoro. Last time we saw him was May 27th against Trevor Smith. He won decision. Yeah, he's also known as the Decisionator. Basically.
Yeah, and
Lately.
has one of the highest striking volumes in the UFC. I think he's 4th in his division.
If I remember, he's a guy. He has good footwork. He sticks to the outside, and he has like those weird. He'll dart in with like his hands really high and wide, and then he'll just like throw like a weird like looping head kick.
He is
Almost kind of like a roundhouse kick that kind of goes from like across his shoulder to shoulder or some shit. Like he swings it down.
He definitely has some interesting moves that he's 6'2". Mostly he's known for playing the Cajun Johnson game, really, it seems like, where you're just circling and pot-shotting and putting out volume.
Yep.
His back will 100% be against the cage during this entire fight. He will 100% throw more strikes than Eric Anders. And I have trouble thinking Eric Anders is going to be able to hang with that pace and do anything significant that really throws Elias off. On paper, Eric Anders, I think there's no reason why he shouldn't win this fight until you watch tape study and you're like, oh, Eric Anders is going to eat 1,000 jabs and flinch at 1,000 feints during this fight. And eat like a whole bunch of like weird looking kicks. While Elias just circles over and over and over again, and Eric doesn't cut off the cage correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly there. I mean,
you can't lose to Lyoto and then go into a fight with Elias unless he has a totally different game plan. I have trouble not picking Elias by decision pretty clearly in this.
That's where I'm going to. I got him this decision. The odds. What would you think the odds are, or what they should be?
Elias is a weird one because his style is not fan friendly at all.
No, it throws people off.
So it's probably lower than it. Well, and Eric Anders is pretty dynamic as well. So I would think that Eric Anders, if he is an underdog, it's like minus 120 or plus 120.
That's a good guess. It's minus 120 in favor of Elias Theodoro to a minus 110 in Anders.
Okay, yeah. So that's about how I had it.
Yeah.
Elias is a slight favorite, but I don't have. Eric Anders is dynamic as shit and should not be understated. And also, Elias is one of those dudes similar to the next fighter we'll talk about, and the co-main event fighter we'll talk about, where they're not they'll win rounds if you make them, but they're not going out there to win every second of every round.
No, definitely not. So next up, we have a women's flyweight bout between Jessica Evil Eye and Caitlin Chukagian. Jessica Eye has a professional record of 13 wins, 6 losses. Last time we saw This American Fighter,
This American Fighter was my favorite NPR show.
That does sound very NPR.
It 100% does.
This week on This American Fighter here on
We talked to
NPR
Matt
Radio.
Hughes about baling hay
Yeah, exactly. Just
and
like
fighting
that,
his brother and beating up his father.
and trying to bury his dad alive. That's some very, very.
That's right.
It's we won't want to say concerning because we want to be ejected, but it's very deep stuff. Pun intended. Anyways, Jessica Rose Clark was her
It
last.
would only be deep stuff if Joe Warren was talked about. Pun intended.
Yeah. 2 fight win streak Kalindra Faria, the Hungarian striker. And then she also defeated Jessica Rose Clark, which is both a recent fight last June. This is Jessica I. Caitlin Chukagian, the New Jersey fighter, who I believe
Chooks.
with Mark Henry and
Yep.
Ricardo Almeida. She's on a nice 3-fight win streak.
Solid fucking 3-fight. Actually, her record in the last fucking run is real impressive.
Yeah, she had lost Liz Carmouche in 2016. She rebounded against Irene Aldana.
Irene, how dare you?
I know. I said it's a Mexican fighter, and that's why I always get it wrong because it's Irene. Irene Aldana, who she defeated.
Come on,
April
Irene.
20... Yeah. Vámonos, ándale pues, apúrate. And then she had
You all tell Chris works in a restaurant?
yeah, right. No mames. Then she had a win over Italian fighter who we were super. I mean, she still has potential. We were hyped on her. Mara
For
Romero
sure.
Barella.
I was more hyped on her after I found out she's a weed dealer.
Oh yeah, that's right. God, that was such a weird article. Holy shit. Oh yeah, she became like. Didn't we call her Mara Marijuana too? Like, or is that just always Pollyanna?
No,
we
she
had
fought Pollyanna Marijuana.
Oh yeah. And there was like
If
the
I remember
cannabis
right.
cup. And we called it the cannabis cup.
I don't know if we did, but yeah, in retrospect, it 100% was.
Yeah. And then her last fight, which we saw.
No,
her
wait, she
was...
didn't fight Pollyanna Marijuana. I always make this mistake. She fought Kalindra Faria. I do this every time we talk about her.
Oh yeah, just like you also get those Iron Ladies mixed up, like Marina Moroz and like Jermaine Durand.
Oh my god, and they look
I think
so
there's a third
different,
one too.
and they're in different weight
And
classes.
I think there's like
by
actually a
lot.
third one too. Who's like
There
a fucking
is.
straw weight.
Yeah, there is. I mix up. Yeah, nicknames don't help me in MMA. Fucking every time there's a goddamn pitbull on a card, I have a panic attack trying to figure out.
Speaking
which
of
one.
nicknames, you have Jessica Evil Eye, but then Caitlin Chukagian is, what is it, Blonde Fighter?
Yep.
Okay. I'm leaning initially towards Chukagian. If I remember, she's more of an outside striker. She just sticks with her jab and just a straight. And I believe
She's
she's worth it.
100%. Yeah, she's the more effective Marina Moroz of that division. She just sticks a jab. in
Jessica
people's face
I
in
has
circles.
pretty good grappling, if I remember correctly. She was in a very, very fun, just grappling exchange. Just a bunch of transitions against Jessica Rose Clark.
Yeah,
that entire fight. I can't remember how Chukagian's jiu-jitsu is, but if she's at Almeida and Henry's camp, it's got to be decent. At least for defense. I don't see why you can't ignore that. At
Well,
least training
and
that.
she stays on the outside so well because she just pumps a jab constantly in circles. Like, that's her entire game. She fucked up Alexis Davis for 3 rounds by pumping a jab and circling.
Yeah. I
And
know Jessica.
Kiaing,
I know
should
Jessica
say.
I is at the same camp as Stipe, so that's why she loves her grappling. I'm sure her wrestling's decent.
Well, her wrestling has gotten much better over the last couple months. Like, that Jessica Rose Clark fight was impressive, and the Kalindra Faria fight. I think it was a Kalindra Faria fight where afterwards she said, "Yeah, y'all love when people wrestle fuck people," or whatever she said. So yeah,
did she say wrestle fuck or something like that?
I don't know if she said wrestle fuck, but she essentially came out and said, like, I know everybody loves when someone just wrestles the entire fight. It's like, no, like, casual fans hate that. I love it, but no one likes that.
Yeah, why do you think you hear like the woo?
Yeah,
Ric Flair
I love
Jr.'s.
Ben Askren, and you love Ben Askren, but most people don't
That's
love Ben
the thing,
Askren.
dude. If we both end up
Or-
going to that
Or
card,
Fitch or
233,
Shields, yeah.
we're there for Cruz and Askren. Like, we'll just admit
Oh, I forgot
that.
Askren's on that. Okay, yeah,
Dude, we gotta go. We gotta go. We're going to that, dude. I'll hit you up this weekend, all right? If I have to buy your ticket, let me know. I'll help you
No,
out.
we'll
but-
make it happen. We'll make it
Yeah,
happen.
no, we're definitely going to that fight, 100%. We have to.
Yeah.
Either way, but I was gonna say once we see Askren fight, you already know all the Ric Flairs are gonna fucking start. And we're like, oh boy. Especially
Well,
in the
who
Hondas.
knows? I don't know if Robbie Lawler is gonna allow enough, like,
That's a fair point.
of that for it to be Ric Flair's.
I think Robbie
You're
Lawler's
going.
mindset's gonna be like, fuck this guy and his hype train. I'm gonna just try to knock his head off, and then if
I mean,
can take
Robbie
him down-
Lawler's gonna fight like Robbie Lawler all his
Yeah.
fights, where he steps forward and throws 18 hooks at a time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about that fight, despite wishing we were. This is exactly why why Connor Rebush and Phil McKenzie joked about how I believe the quote was Connor said on Twitter he was looking for a new co-host since he tweeted out, or he sent a text to Phil asking what fights they should cover, and Phil responds with, "What? No Jessica I versus Kaylin Chukagian."
God damn it. Either way, I'm trying to.
It's going to decision. It's just who you like in the decision.
Yeah. I kind of like based on her grappling, but
I've been going back and forth all week, to be fair.
I'm gonna go just because I feel like the only three people that Chukagian fought that are considered maybe a grappler is what, Alexis Davis?
She also has a win over Sajara Eubanks back in the day.
Ooh, do you mean the person who runs this division? Excuse me. Never mind.
No, she runs the division now.
I think she actually just moved up to bantamweight. If I saw that.
Yeah, she hasn't made fucking 125 forever.
Yeah.
I believe she's aiming for God. Who was she just calling out on Twitter? I can't remember.
Wonder if it's like Jermaine Duran to me. I doubt it though. That'd actually probably be like a decent fight.
No, it was shit. Keep going. Go ahead and what's
So,
your official?
I'm gonna go with Jessica I don't know. I think it's gonna be. She's gonna keep that shit on the ground. I think we're gonna see really good things from both fighters, but I think I just gets. I hate saying it. I know I always say this. Oh, you can't call a split decision. It'll be one of those decisions. Or it's like it can go either way. And I think they'll edge it to I if she gets more top. If she gets more top control and time on the ground.
Wow.
Probably fucking super wrong though. Just because if I
Tanya Evinger. It was Tanya Evinger.
For
Sajara Eubanks is who she was talking with.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a fucking great fight.
Yeah,
Tanya Evinger and Sajara Eubanks would be dope as hell. Yeah, I can't take Jessica I by decision against someone who circles and jabs.
Yeah.
I believe, #I believe, that Jessica I could definitely win this fight. If Jessica I can engage in grappling exchanges at all and get in on Chooks, I think she 100% wins this fight. I just think she's going to have slow footwork and eat jabs the entire time. I would like to be wrong. I like Jessica I a whole fucking lot. Like, I'm a big Jessica I fan. But I gotta take Chooks by decision. And I'm guessing the line is pretty close on that, but I would think Chooks has got to be the favorite just off of record and just off of record.
The line is minus 210 in favor of Chukagian over
Too big.
Yeah, over 170 for I.
Yeah, I would like 180, 140 or 180, 145 somewhere in there. That seems too wide. Like, Jessica I by decision. I think it was Breen and TJ that mentioned this on the roundtable, but yeah, 100%. If you want a flyer, for like a parlay that you don't care about, that I would put Jessica I by decision on that shit, because I bet it's like, last time I looked, I think it was like plus 200 something. That's crazy.
So next up we have a featherweight or lightweight bout between Brazilian Gilbert Burns, a former world's champion, going up against the Quebec kid Canadian Olivier Aubin-Messier. He has a record of 11-3 to Burns is 13-3. I know records sometimes don't mean much unless you go by UFC record.
Yeah, another extremely hard fight to pick.
Yeah, so I had a couple notes on this. Gilbert Burns, by the way, last time we saw him, he got knocked out by Dan the Hangman Hooker, a Kiwi fighter from New Zealand.
No shame. Dan Hooker's been on a crazy run.
And who's also in a good camp and is really good friends with Israel Adesanya.
That camp is on fucking fire right now.
Yeah, this is tough to... So... I just have notes on... The notes I have on OAM And then it was repeated on the Vivisection. I think it was heavy hands. His striking, or Jack Slack said his striking is a little messy. His grappling against the fence is good in that fight against Evan Dunham. But against someone like Gilbert Burns throws really hard strikes in a style similar to Jacare, in that he knows he's so good and efficient at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that he almost invites being taken down and getting put on his back.
And so he'll just wing bombs because he's not scared of it.
And this is for the reason why I'm going to take Gilbert Burns. I think it's going to be OAM, like, kind of hesitating with his strikes because he doesn't want to get clipped by, like, a counter from Burns. I'm not saying, like, Burns' striking is all, like, great.
No, but he throws fucking heater.
But that's what I'm saying, yeah. If you throw fucking hard, you're going to be like, holy shit, what do I do? Well, I got to shoot. Oh, wait, this guy's good at jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? There's so many other ways for it's almost like that's just how you win. Like, if you know you can get with jiu-jitsu, you're like, oh, I'm just going to throw bombs. The only way I see OAM taking this is if you can, like, hit him with a jab or, like, outside point fight him or maybe, like, get him in a ground and pound if he gets good enough top control and could avoid a triangle, you know, or some sort of just to avoid trouble when he's in top mount. Depending on if he's in full mount, I could see him getting it done, but I still favor Burns. I think there's there's just a couple more ways that Burns could win this fight than OAM can. Not saying OAM can't win. He can. He's talented, but his striking needs to evolve a little more.
He's definitely young in the game. He's been evolving a lot as of late, but this is a tough matchup for both these dudes. Yeah, I wish they would have done this before they both took their last fight, because they had heat on Twitter and they were going back and forth saying they wanted to fight.
Oh, cool.
And then they ended up booking both of them in a loss directly after that heat, which made no sense. To be fair, no one knew Alex Hernandez was going to be a goddamn monster.
That's right.
And because he 100% is. And Gilbert Burns facing Daniel Hooker, that's bad matchmaking if you want to build Gilbert Burns at all. There's a couple things that I've been going back and forth about on this fight. When I first heard it announced, I really liked Gilbert Burns to take it. Just because his striking is more well-rounded and has been looking better as of late, and his grappling is very high level. However, I think the two things this comes down to is, can OAM work a clinch game against the cage, Cain Velasquez or DC style? And if he does, how bad does that gas out Gilbert Burns? Because he does like that style a whole fucking lot. He did that shit to dudes like Zhang Lang. He did it to, or I think it was Zhang Lang, right? Or no, it's Chad Laprise, I believe.
Yes.
He's done it to a couple guys. He is very, very heavy against the cage. He actually won a lot of, he did well early against Alexander Hernandez there. The problem is if he can't constantly push that game and he has trouble entering in on grappling exchanges, especially in the clinch, I think Gilbert Burns is going to start lighting him up. Because Gilbert Burns, I think, has the striking advantage early, at least. Later, it might be trouble for him because he looks tired as shit in a lot of the third round of his fights. But I'm going to take OAM by decision with next to zero confidence.
It's still not a bad pick.
I think either way, it's a really close fight.
It's almost like a pick-em. Not a flip a coin, but you could.
It is in the way that, man, it really comes down to who can implement any part of their game. Because whoever implements the first part of their game early ends up taking this. If OAM can start pushing the clinch game early, or if he can start making Gilbert Burns swing and miss a lot, I think he takes it. But if Gilbert Burns can start landing heavy shots early, or if he can shut down OAM's wrestling, I think he takes it. So.
Yeah,
I gotta figure.
I like the
Burns
clinch game
maybe.
Point.
Yeah.
So the odds. What do you think? I was gonna tell you.
I gotta think Burns is maybe the favorite on that, barely.
No, actually,
really?
All across the board, OAM.
It's gotta be really shallow, right?
Minus 135 to 105. Yeah, and then the other ones usually I'm at 120. The steepest ones, Bet DSI as OAM at a minus 146.
That seems too wide, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a close one, and it really is going to come down. I think it's going to say a lot about both these dudes coming out of this fight, and I think it is a. Do you have the props for? If you click the props, the drop down to the right, what's the props for fight goes to decision? Because I think it does.
Fight goes to a decision. The only odds that's in here are a minus 160.
That's not bad.
Yep.
I would probably play that. I don't think either of these dudes get finished in that fight. OAM lasted 3 rounds against fucking...
And if you want to bet a fight on a draw, put maybe $1 or so on it, it's plus 7,000.
It's not going to be a draw because no one's getting a 10-8 round, I don't think, in that fight.
No.
Maybe if Gilbert Burns goes crazy in the first round, but I don't see that happening, so...
OAM by TKO is a plus 1050. Okay.
Jesus Christ, that's too wide. I would put $1 on that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's a great dollar, like...
Burns by TKO is a plus
garbage.
515.
Like, if you want to put a garbage
3
3-person parlay together, go OAM by TKO, go Jessica I by decision, and go Chad Laprise by KO, and that is a solid garbage parlay if you're looking for one.
Oh, yes. So... Moving on, where are we at?
Claudia versus Nina.
Claudia Gadelha versus Nina Ansaroff, a women's strawweight bout. The last time we saw Claudia Gadelha, she fought Carla Esparza in a fight. I believe Gadelha had a injury going into that. An injury, excuse me, the wrong grammar. I think she had an injury going into
I would hope so, because she got fucking crushed by Carla.
I think she had a knee problem.
This
is a fight. They gave her that controversial split decision. I remember I scored it for Carla initially.
You and I both did first and third for Carla, because this was the fight where Carla dropped her in the first round, if I remember right.
Yeah, no, that is. Let's see. The fuck is it? Oh, okay. Wait, what happened? Oh, Claudia Gadelha. Oh yeah, she lost to Andrade. And before that, she beat Carolina. Okay. Nina Ansaroff. Didn't she fight Angie Hill last?
Randa Marcos and Angie Hill.
Okay. Nina Ansaroff's on a 3-fight win streak. Oh, yeah, she has a professional record of 9 wins. Excuse me, I just burped again like Christina P. Sorry, couldn't help it. 9 wins.
Lisa wasn't directly into the mic that time.
Not that time. 9 wins, 5 losses, and Claudia Gadelha, who's had title shots before. I mean, Ansaroff's a contender at this point, especially if she wins. Claudia Gadelha,
100%.
16 wins, 3 losses. Just based on their fighting styles, I know Claudia Gadelha is more of a grappler, more than a striker. She uses just her physical strength to kind of bring the fight to the ground. Yes and no.
Like she has power on the feet, but.
Yeah.
Mostly
I don't remember offhand. I think shouldn't she throw like a hook, like a right hook? It's kind of like her power shot.
She definitely will wing some bombs at you. But she mostly is known for being able to outwork people and out grapple them. Which I think is probably part of the reason why she got clipped by Carla in the first, is because Carla was able to. First off, Carla was looking sharp and fast in that fight. And second off, she wasn't able to implement much of a wrestling or clinch game against Carla early.
And then Nina Ansaroff, I remember her fight against Angela. There was a lot of like kind of side kicks to the body.
Yeah, Nina is very good at range. She basically worked over Randa Marcos and Angela Hill, both at range and both impressively. Randa Marcos, if I remember right, she actually out-grappled as well. I know she out-grappled Angie a bit late, but mostly she won on the feet just by outworking her, and Angie slowed down a bit towards the later rounds. Whereas Randa Marcos, from what I remember, I didn't rewatch this fight before our breakdown, unfortunately, but I remember Nina kind of just housing Randa Marcos in a lot of that fight.
Okay.
Just like winning, consistently winning both the grappling exchanges and the range strikes, aside from a couple wild overhands or shit, like wild shit that Rando would throw.
Yeah, that makes sense. Trying to think how I want to call this fight. Part of me thinks I kind of want Gadea via decision. Like, she'll just grapple the fuck out of her. But I remember her gas tank is an issue, at least in a 5-round fight.
Especially as of late, it seemed like it's not gotten better. Like that Esparza fight is a great example. And the Andrade fight, well, to be fair, Andrade is a goddamn monster. Let's just say her tank hasn't gotten better, at least not yet.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Gadea. I think she's going to be able to control Ansaroff on the ground and tire her out. Like, Ansaroff, I think, will start off strong. Like, early, which is like some side kicks and being in control. Like, even if she's being backed up, I think she's going to use her distance well, but it's not going to be good enough against someone relentless like Gadea.
Are you leaning decision? Or?
I got decision, yeah.
I have the same way. Mostly because Nina hasn't fought the quality of opposition that Claudia has. And while I do think she lost the Carla Esparza fight, Claudia's a tough fucking matchup for Nina Ansaroff in a lot of ways. And unless Nina's able to just stick Claudia on the end of her range and pick her apart over time, land heavy leg kicks and not get taken down, I think it's gonna be a hard. That's the thing is, if Nina could work a heavy leg kick game and like basically jab leg kick game for 3 rounds, I think she could definitely take this fight. I just think that's a tall order against someone like Claudia.
Yeah, I like it.
I definitely like
the key to victory as well.
Yeah, I definitely like Nina to take a round off of her, though, in that. Definitely, probably the third.
I could see that, too. So,
and
the odds.
Who knows about the Toronto Toronto Commission as well? I don't know. I don't remember much about the Toronto Commission, which always makes me nervous.
So, let me know what you think of these odds. I'll just go ahead and tell them. Say them. Claudia Gadelha is a minus.
Soldier Boy Sam.
350 over a plus 265.
Too wide.
Yeah.
Way too wide.
Yeah.
What's Nina by decision? Is there a line on that?
Find.
Because that seems like fucking free money almost. Like, again, if you want a garbage parlay pick, Nina by decision is another great one to add.
Ansaroff by decision is plus 363 or plus
That's
350.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy. I might have to just throw a garbage parlay out there of like some of these weird lines. Cause
even Gadea winning inside the distance is plus 315.
That's too wide also.
No.
To be fair, Nina is hard to finish. Has Nina even ever been finished? Probably not.
See.
I mean, other than by Amanda Nunes. Hey-o!
Hey-o! Yeah, no, she
I
got submitted by
that.
Casey Nolan in 2011, though. Like, come on. That's a long time ago.
That's a good point. Also, I apologize for that joke. That was not sensitive nor respectful, and please don't hurt me, Amanda Nunes.
Dude, we get it. But then again, I was the motherfucker who's making Terry Schiavo jokes last week, so go figure. But then again, it's not 2002 or whatever year that was. So it's not too. So it's not too soon. It's just too late.
No, it's not 2002. It's 2000. True. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, that was a dumb joke.
Oh,
anyway.
and by the way, the reason why I always make that stupid joke with the whole euthanasia. You remember the great South Park episode that was about that? Yeah, you remember when Kenny in his will the golden PSP. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Moving on that note.
Actually, before you start, let me go ahead and pour this. What I'm assuming will be either great or awful.
Awfully great.
Strawberry alarm clock milkshake IPA from Concrete Jungle.
That sounds Yeah, either very good or very bad. Holy shit.
I told you, I am drinking the most hipster fucking beers ever this week. Also, holy shit. I'm worried this might be infected because this just poured a full fucking glass of foam. We'll see. It has a little bit of a weird smell to it, and it poured a full glass of foam. So,
how about this? Take one sip.
I can't because it's a giant glass of foam.
Well, let it sit if it does.
It literally, I have about an inch of beer and then about 6 inches of foam in this glass. So, why don't you go ahead and start us off on the Thiago Santos versus Jimmy Manuwa fight?
All right. Thiago Santos and Jimmy Manuwa is a light heavyweight bout. The Brazilian Thiago Santos has a record of 19 wins, 6 losses. He's going up against Sacramento's own Jimmy Poster Boy Manuwa, a.k.a. One Punch, Art of a Lion, One Gate, bruv. Why do you think I'm here? As they say on Reddit. Because he did say in the interview, I remember that. He's like, why do you think I'm here, bruv? Eat a fort, knock him out. Or as Dan Hardy calls him, Jimmy Manure. Not really, I'm just making fun of their accent. Thiago Santos, last time we saw him, he defeated Eric Andre via retirement, as it says. Just kidding. It says win retirement. 5 minutes. That's actually kind of funny.
I mean, to be fair, he retired between rounds, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those where Eric Andre's like, holy shit, I'm literally too tired to fight. So yeah, he retired at the end of the third round. Wait, was it at the end of the third round, or they just called it the third round? Wasn't it the second round?
Called it the end of the third because
it was the third, yeah.
That was when.
That was a main event. That was a main fucking event.
Yeah, that's
right.
why it was the end of the third.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay.
Yeah. Because he was getting blown up towards the end of that fight, and he remember he could barely walk back to his corner.
Well, yeah, it was short notice. I mean,
super short notice, as is this fight.
And then Kevin Holland, that motherfucker survived Thiago Santos to decision. Albeit a 3-round fight, it's still impressive. Either way, this is the matchup of the One Punch KO power. We got two guys that get hit really, really fucking hard, and I think this is going to come down to who can get the inside dirty boxing exchanges. I say that though, I do remember Jimmy Manuwa has a very mean hook, so I feel like he's going to kind of stay to the outside. I don't expect any grappling in this fight. At least I don't. If it's gonna be from anyone, it's gonna be from Santos.
Who gets it? If Santos gets Manuwa to the ground, Manuwa's fucked. Because Santos has crazy heavy ground and pound.
I didn't realize Jimmy Manuwa is 38 years old.
Also, if he gets Manuwa down, it's not because of a good takedown. It's because of Manuwa swinging and blowing a giant shot and then getting dominated.
Oh, dude, I forgot Manuwa was born in Nigeria. He's another Nigerian fighter, alongside Israel Adesanya.
I thought he was born in Sacramento, bro.
He was born in Nigeria, and his family moved there when I think he was like 3, and then he lived in Sacramento till he was 10, and then moved to England.
I know, I was just being a dick.
But yeah, you know me, I was Sac time zone.
One punch, bro, heart of a lion.
More like one gate.
By the way, this strawberry alarm clock milkshake IPA is fucking delicious.
So it turned out okay? It wasn't infected?
Dude, well, so it's... Here, I'll read the description because it's delicious. At Concrete Jungle, our philosophy is really simple, though our beers are definitely not. We make distinctive beer that adheres to our 4 basic principles of balance: harmony, complexity, and especially restraint. Oh, there's balance in there too, so there actually is 4. We believe that drinkability is not a dirty word. It's fucking great. It's a slightly sweet, slightly tart IPA with low bitterness. Strawberry Alarm Clock has aromas of strawberry ice cream with a hint of vanilla, malted and flaked oats, along with lactose sugar. Give our milkshake IPA its trademark creaminess and smoothness. It's very good. This is actually the best beer I've had tonight.
Fuck yeah.
Aside from, I had Mickler's Staff Magician, which was they call it a New England IPA. That shit's a San Diego Pale Ale, okay. Like with less hop bite. it's just like a smoother San Diego Pale Ale. But this shit is actually really good. It's also there's no date on it, but just by tasting it, I would assume it's much fresher than the other ones I had. Because it has a you know what? I know for a fact that you've had the strawberry beer from Acoustic Ales, because I think you've had it with me at Balboa Tap House.
I believe so.
As well as I believe you've had Boulevard with me at Balboa Tap House, where Danny Downs from Co-Main Event, or not from Co-Main Event, but from Trading Shots with Ben Folks on Bloody Elbow. I believe that he was the one that actually served us those beers wearing a Dendasso shirt.
By the way, is Thiago Santos, is this the same guy who has that shitty tattoo of Mjolnir on his chest? Thor's hammer?
Yes.
Okay. Because I saw this picture here, and I was like, wait. So he has a shitty tattoo that says literally the Ultimate Fighter, or whatever season he was on his left bicep. And he has Mjolnir.
So you know
That's
everyone... Well, you know everyone in Tough 28 has a Tough 28 tattoo on one of the teams, except for...
Wait, Tough 28? I think
the most recent one.
Wait, really?
Yeah, or is it 27? I thought it was 28.
Wait, when the fuck was Thiago on Tough? I can't remember.
No, I'm saying this last Tough, they all went and got tattoos, except for Marcia Allen.
I mean, I probably would have opted out. Unless a tattoo...
She did too.
I mean,
yeah. It's one of those things where you're like, how much do you want a free tattoo that says Tough on it? Like, maybe a little bit while you're there, but like, that
maybe
seems
I'd
like
get
one
it
of
if I
those
fucking
10 years.
won.
Maybe, yeah.
Like,
that
if I
seems
won
like one of
that-
those... No, the entire team got it for, I believe, I can't remember which team it was. It was Macy's Chasson. Was it Macy's team? It was whatever team Maurice was on. I can't remember.
I can't
Anyway,
either.
red team.
Anyway, that's gotta be impressive, people. It's like...
I'm the only one that watched Tough this
Instead of
year,
just saying,
so.
instead of just impressing people by going, "Hey, I'm a fucking professional mixed martial artist," said, "Hey, look, I was on the Ultimate Fighter, but here's a tattoo to remind you every second that you see me without my shirt on that I was on the Ultimate Fighter." So there's that.
Well, and it made it even worse that the tattoo artist kept making family.
Wait,
this
what was he
says
doing?
This tattoo says Tough, but really it's, you guys are like a tough family.
Oh boy.
It was the worst. Yeah, it was Vegas and bad tattoos and MMA fighters as fuck. Like it was a Donald Trump appearance away from affliction event. Basically is how it felt. It was awkward. The WEC logos were about to start crawling all over the screen.
Oh boy.
There's some old
So,
references.
we should probably get rolling through this.
Yeah, we're not. We should be talking about Jimmy Manuwa losing to Thiago Santos by knockout.
Yeah, I have him losing by TKO. Don't get me wrong. Can Jimmy Manuwa clip him and knock him out with one punch, bro? Of course he can.
Heart
Fuck
of a
yeah.
lion, bro.
Of course. He could totally knock this dude the fuck out.
He won't, but he could.
Yeah. No, but I got Thiago by TKO. Ground and pound. Round 2.
I am in a very similar. I have a very similar take on it. I think mostly Thiago is going to take it. If Jimmy Manuwa does not knock him out in the first round with a hook coming in, I think Thiago Santos body kicks the shit out of him and puts him out in the first round regardless. Unless Jimmy Manuwa is able to step in with a giant hook when Thiago Santos throws a kick, I don't see him winning this fight in any way.
I can
at
see
all,
that too, yeah.
even close. So, I mean, if he steps in with a giant counter hook, I could see him definitely landing a KO on him. Jimmy hits really fucking hard, and we all know Thiago Santos is going to try and go for that left body kick and really heavy leg kicks. I just don't see a way that Jimmy Manuwa doesn't eat all of that. So I'm going to go Thiago first round KO. And that is also why I have him in fantasy and Magwar. MagnusWarrior.com.
So, unfortunately,
Magwar.com. Check him out.
Unfortunately, I have Jimmy Manuel in my fucking fantasy lineup.
Really?
It's slim pickings for me. No, sorry, I'll stop talking like him. That's
You
actually
really
really
have him?
annoying. Yeah, I have him in fantasy, unfortunately, cause in a flex.
That's a scary flex, dog. You're either going to get 0. Well, actually, to be fair, you're either going to get 0 points or a lot of points. So
It's the flex.
You and I in that right now. You and I in that league, we both kind of are in that position. So that's why I have 5 fighters on this card.
That TRX team motherfucker is destroying all of us right now. So
Trickster, yeah, he's killing us.
Yeah, we're all getting destroyed. So it's kind of like, well, go big or home. I didn't realize. I think I had Alistair
Trickster's
in that
killing
league.
us in both leagues, by the way.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's all good.
Although I do want to give a shout out, Magwar.com. The dude who runs it is a fucking sweetheart. Did you ever get your shirt?
I did not, unfortunately.
That's hilarious.
Why did you get yours?
No, I'm guessing you're probably going to be getting it before too long.
I mean, it's not even like a big deal to me, but
no, because he ordered it through whatever his like.
Oh, I think you told me this, or he told me this too. I think.
Because what I got was I ended up getting MMA Community mug since I won the MMA Community League, so I already got that.
That's right.
Was very cool of him. But his T-shirt company, I think, was like a pain, is what was going on.
That's fun.
So, but yeah. Also, end of the year, you guys, we might have some kind of contest. I'm telling you right now, if you guys start leaving comments on our 5-star reviews on our iTunes, or any reviews on our iTunes, you're gonna be entered in some shit to win some shit. Because I got some shit on my sleeve for that. So go ahead and do that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, overall, I forgot what we were talking about. We went on a big old tangent.
Let's see what the odds are, because we've got Santos.
It's got to be Santos heavy, like
he's
210.
minus 200 to a plus 160.
Oh, okay. By the way, nailing these fucking odds. Have not looked. The only odds I looked at was Jessica Caitlin Chukagian, because I knew it was going to be weird for the decision. So I feel like I'm doing all right on these so far.
Not too bad. So
I have no idea what to do with this next fight.
Oh, wait, I just clicked on the wrong one. Oops, hold on. Yeah, I don't know about this fight at all. We got Kyle Bochniak. He's from Boston. I remember that. The American fighter. Crash. Going up against Canadian fighter Mean Hakeem Dawadu. This is a lightweight fight, I believe. Featherweight, I lied. Featherweight fight. Kyle Bochniak from Boston, Massachusetts. Professional record of 8 wins, 3 losses. Last time we saw him, he lost a unanimous decision to Zabit Magomedsharipov last April when his hype train started rolling.
God, this beer is actually very fucking good. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's so good.
I'm just surprised that a strawberry alarm clock milkshake IPA was as goddamn tasty as this is. Everybody go pick up this beer. Fucking shouts out to Concrete Jungle. If you're ever out in San Diego, Preferred Liquors in Santee has a couple of their beers, and they all seem very good. They also have some kind of banana IPA milkshake thing.
Okay. That sounds like
These
really
fucking
good too.
Milkshake IPAs are weird, but this is fresh ass strawberry. Anyway, go ahead.
So, Kyle Bochniak, last time we saw him, he lost my train of thought. He lost to Zabit Magomedsharipov. Before that, he did win over Brendan Davis. He's going up against Canadian fighter, Canadian featherweight Hakeem Dawadu, has a professional record 8 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Last time we saw him, he had a unanimous decision victory over Austin Arnett last July 28th. For that, he had his UFC debut where he got submitted via guillotine to Danny Henry. I don't have really too much to say about this fight. I can't really...
It's tough to pick. It's really fucking tough to pick.
Like, dude, he just fought fucking Zabit. for Bokniak, so it's not really much you can
And looked good as shit in the third round. Like, if that was a
I remember
5-rounder,
that.
he
I
won
remember
that
that.
fight.
You know what? I think that's why I'm leaning him. I'm one of those guys who's on that Zabit hype train, though.
I know. You're on that,
Not Jack Slack, though.
I was going to say what Jack Slack
he-
refers to as the spinning kick hype train.
The most overrated fighter in the whole UFC roster. He said that. The whole UFC roster, that's what he said. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I don't
he's up
disagree.
there.
I don't disagree with overrated. I definitely think he's overrated a little bit.
He's probably top 10.
He's still a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's incredible, but it's just... I think it's the problem is maybe he's top 10 most
I'll just say
annoying
this.
fan bases.
I'll just say this. After watching Yair against Zombie, yes, Zombie had that fight, and he had that... I'm not going to call it lucky. He had that good timing of a knockout. Definitely think Yair would do a lot better than I initially thought against Zabit. 100%. I think that'd be a very good fight, and I still hope they do that. Yair versus Zabit. I hope they still do.
Yeah. The problem is you kill off a contender with that.
That's why I hope they don't do it. But
But yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, you got Bokniak in this one.
Yeah, just because I just remember that third round, dude. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I can't.
He
deny
looked
it.
fucking beast in that third round, even though he didn't win it, I don't think, but he was very close to winning it, and he had a tough first round and a half against Zabit before he started just walking forward and being a madman. So you going? What method you going with that decision?
I think a decision, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same way. This is another fight I've been going back and forth on. I like Duadu. I think Duadu he's got some fucking power, and he's shown it over time. Steven, and a lot of his wins have actually gotten better over time. Like, Steven Siler did pretty fucking good in the PFL tournament. And Austin Arnett is a good win, but I just think Kyle Bokniak is enough of a crazy person and pushes such a crazy pace that it's going to... I just feel like he's going to pressure Duadu and make him swing and miss too much to not win a decision, or at least take the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I like that.
So what are the odds looking like on that? That one's gotta be pretty fucking close.
Yeah, it seems so. We got a minus 170 to Duadu to plus 140 Bokniak, so it's a little wide than I would think. But
Yeah, I could see that though. Duadu's
he's
had
a Canadian fighter too, so.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. But he has had some impressive fucking wins. Like, his Contender Series fight, he looked good as shit.
Yeah.
Or not Contender. Was it? It wasn't Contender Series. Sorry, it was the fucking Arnett fight, right?
I think so, yeah.
I'm starting to mix everybody together. There's too many goddamn cards. All right, cool. Let's keep on moving on. We're almost here.
So next up, we have a welterweight bout between Brazilian Cowboy, aka Alex Oliveira, record of 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, going up against the Norwegian fighter Gunnar Gunny Nelson, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner himself. Wow, these guys are both only 30? Holy shit. I didn't realize that. Okay.
I feel like Nelson feels like he's 6 years older than Cowboy.
Cowboy looks older than 30, but then sometimes you can't really tell.
Well, yeah, that's them genes, bruh.
I think it's the Brazilians in general. They just age really well. Like Aldo. Oh, yeah, Aldo's only
Also-
like 29 or 30 himself. And he looks like he'd be like
Well-
fucking... It feels like he'd be like 35, but like, he's
Also,
been fighting since he was like 20.
Also, to be fair, Gunnar Nelson's been fighting since 2007, and Cowboy started in 2011. So,
Oh my
maybe
god.
that's why.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I forgot Cowboy beat fucking Will Brooks.
Dude, Cowboy beat a lot of motherfuckers.
I
got him in... By the way, I have him in fantasy.
He's only had losses to shit-eating
I'll
Wildman,
just say
mostly.
this. I have him in fantasy, and spoiler, I'm picking him in this fight. But hold on, let's talk about it.
Sure.
Cowboy is going up against Gunnar Nelson. Last time we saw Brazilian
Actually,
Cowboy.
god damn it, this was a very good pickup in fantasy. Now that I'm looking at these records and I'm looking at this matchup, you might have the best pick in fantasy of the night. It's either you or me with the fucking.
I'll just say this: I love Cowboy's dirty boxing
please.
for a fighter. The thing is, he presses people against the fence, and the main reason why I'm picking him here, and I'll get to Gunnar. Gunnar is a fantastic Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. He's good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm picking Oliveira here because in the fight that he had, or in the fight that Gunnar had against Ponzinibbio, Ponzinibbio is such a volume striker against the fence that Gunnar couldn't do shit. And every fight I've seen Oliveira in lately, how has he won? Whether he finished him with punches against the fence. That's how he beat Carlo Pedrosoli. That's how he choked out Carlos Condit. He was able to beat him, punch him to the body. He crumpled, got him to the ground, got the guillotine. Yancey Medeiros,
really
he lost to, but Yancey Medeiros was fucking possessed. That's still one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
Well, they're two shitting wild men just throwing haymakers for
Gunnar Nelson, let's make an argument for him. Whose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would you say is better? To be honest, I haven't. I'll just say this: the only time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu I've seen Cowboy Oliveira utilize was against Cowboy, and Cerrone submitted him off of his back in a triangle. So I would imagine, if I were to guess, Gunnar's got a slightly better BJJ because I know that's his bread and butter.
Maybe, but like he's never implemented it that well.
Yeah.
Outside of just catching chokes, like the dudes he has, I guess is probably his best win. I think I want to say Vivisection shouted this out, but maybe it was Short Dog Roundtable. Was his best one's definitely Albert Tumanov. It was between rounds Roundtable. His best one's got to be Einstein, but even then, like, I don't know, man.
I like the fact that he's in like fucking insane shape. That's a little intriguing.
I guess the one thing that I'm curious about is Donald Cerrone fucking dominated Cowboy on the ground. But that was a while back, and that was a very sharp Donald Cerrone. And I just don't have any faith in Gunnar Nelson to be able to put that kind of game together.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I've always picked against Gunnar Nelson.
I think I picked him against Joban, but wasn't that like a short notice fight?
I don't think I did. I think I picked him against Brandon Thatch, maybe. But the problem is, and I know he's not. As far as I'm aware, he's not actively training in SPG at all.
Right, I believe you're right.
But I just have trouble seeing a way where he doesn't, like you said, get backed up against Cage and bombed on.
And by the way, so what do you have? I have Cowboy by decision. Actually, you know what? Nope. I think he's gonna finish him. I say round 3, beginning of round 3.
KO or TKO?
Like TKO. Like they'll just crumple him and then they'll call it against the Cage.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cowboy KO. I'm gonna look at Cowboy's record again. I'm trying to figure out first or second. I'm gonna go first. I have a real problem picking Gunnar Nelson to win much of anything in this fight aside from ugly grappling exchanges that don't get him any actual points. Like, Gunnar Nelson may very well put Cowboy on the cage. Gunnar Nelson may very well try and take Cowboy down. Gunnar Nelson may very well control okay against the cage after he gets him down. But I just think Cowboy eventually stands up and knocks him out. Could be wrong. You could definitely, if Gunnar Nelson's able to work a top game at all on Cowboy, I think Cowboy's fucked. I just don't think he's strong enough, and I don't think he has the explosiveness to keep up with Cowboy and that kind of shit. So, I'm gonna take him.
I like it. So I'll have you guess the odds.
Gotta be Cowboy. I'm gonna say minus 140-ish.
Yeah, you'd be right, except it's Gunnar Nelson, the average being a minus 150.
Wow, that seems like a fucked up line. To be fair,
125 for Cowboy.
I could see it. Like, if you think Gunnar Nelson's gonna out-grapple Cowboy similar to the way Donald Cerrone did, then that makes a lot of sense. Oh, yeah,
that'll be his key to victory, 100%.
100%, but he does not win this fight at all on the feet.
No.
At all. No. He does not, unless Cowboy sprints forward into a right hand, or a left hand. I forget if he's southpaw or not. I don't see him winning any stand-up exchanges at all.
No, neither do I. So next fight we have, what a hell of a co-main event. What a hell of a title fight. A 5-round fight.
Thank God it's not Sarge versus Valentina, where Sarge blows weight like a dick and makes me look terrible.
Yeah.
I was calling for that for so long, and then Sarge blew weight, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's
so we have a featured co-main event title fight for the women's flyweight championship between Polish fighter and former UFC strawweight queen, as she would call herself, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the record of 15 wins, 2 losses, going up against her former rival in Muay Thai from 8 fucking years ago. You casuals.
More than that, I think.
Yeah, probably 10. No, probably 8. They're both 30 years old, 31, 30. A lot of 30
I don't know. It might be 10. It was a long fucking time ago.
Valentina Shevchenko. What is it? Kyrgyzstan is her country, but she's based
Kyrgyzstan, yeah.
She's based out of Peru. Of course, everyone's like, yeah, she's Russian. Sure. 15 wins, 3 losses. Last time we saw Joanna, she had those 2 title fights against current champion at strawweight Rose Namajunas. Oh, excuse me, I lied. I forgot she had another fight her last fight was against Issa Torres, a fight I totally fucking forgot about. Never mind.
Yeah, looked great in it too.
Yeah. She unanimously decisioned her, and it wasn't even close. Tisha had a couple of clinch exchanges where he tried to take her down, but couldn't do it. She was just undersized. Massively in that fight. So I apologize. No. She did win against Issa Torres, and then she decided to move up in weight because the state of that, I don't know what's going on with Rose. I realize it's been about 8 months since she defended her belt. But
she has a neck injury from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I forget who mentioned it this week on a podcast. Give me a minute and I'll remember. Shit, I just listened to this podcast that said it. But yeah, she's off on a neck injury. I believe it's Ariel Helwani on the TSN MMA show is when he talked about it. I'm pretty sure, but I believe she's off because of a neck injury. Also, you're right. It's been 12 years since Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Valentina's first fight.
So no wonder the people. I remember someone was there basically kids. Yes, so that means Joanna was 19.
12 years ago, yeah.
And fucking Valentina was 18 years old. That's insane. They're literally teenagers.
And they fought 2 times after that.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Valentina, last time we saw her, she fought last February. Oh, it was a fight that probably never should have been sanctioned.
Oh no, for sure it was the worst matched fight in
Priscilla
UFC
Cachoeira.
history.
Yeah, she murdered her.
Not the worst, but
dude,
the
wasn't
worst
it
in
like
modern
200
history.
strikes to the dome? Something outrageous. It was 200 strikes. It was like she's dying.
Something like a minus 1,000 plus favorite. It was the most insane shit ever.
Before that, she had a bantamweight title fight against Amanda Nunes in which she lost via split decision. That was a weird fight. It's competitive. I don't even know who I scooted for. I can't remember.
Both the Amanda fights are weird. I always.
She lost her twice. That's right.
Yeah, because Carolina, fucking gee, I'm gonna keep doing that. Valentina is so low output, and Amanda Nunes has such pressure that those fights are going to go that way a lot of times. Where Amanda's gonna walk forward and feint and land a couple dominant strikes, and Valentina's going to punch air and circle and lose rounds, Jorge Masvidal style. So
as much as I like to see a lot of output in this, like you say that, I think this is gonna be. It's not gonna be low output. It's gonna be a lot of just it's just gonna be a chess match, and one of those fights where like they're just kind of like a lot of feints, a lot of just forward quick jabs, couple connections. But this will come down to a clinch. It'll turn into a Muay Thai fight. Is how this will come out.
That's interesting. I do think Joanna is going to push a pace on this thing. Especially moving up to 125, I definitely think she's going to push a solid pace during this
She'll
fight.
have more power, too.
Yeah, I don't even know if she'll have more power. I think she'll just have more
Not
gas.
that she needs that, because I think Valentina has a good chin. Very good chin. Really
and I don't think Joanna's going to load up on shit.
I don't think there's going to be a finish in this. If there is...
No, this is going to decision. I'm almost positive. Unless Valentina is able to get this to the ground in top control. And then it could be fucking trouble for JJ. That's the one place I see a finish. Yeah. Is like if JJ tries to push a weird clinch game and Valentina is able to just get trip takedowns and end up in dominant top control positions and gas Joanna that way. Like if Valentina is able to sit in top control and half guard and beat up Joanna for 3 rounds, I think the odds of a sub late starts getting much better. But yeah, I gotta take decision. I'm definitely going Shevchenko, who I also have in fantasy. So spoiler alert.
I'm going Shevchenko as well. I like her better in the clinch. She's a bigger fighter, not by a crazy amount. She's actually shorter, which is kind of insane. She's just like a thicker, wider fighter, and probably just more physically imposing. What I noticed too, which is interesting, is Shevchenko didn't cut weight when she was at 135. So 125 is...
She barely cuts weight for 25.
Is her natural home, really. And you know what? I think she actually really could make 115 if she wanted to, but she would hate every second of it. And I hope she never does that. But
yeah, she just doesn't cut weight.
What's crazy, if she did make 115, I think she kind of ruins everyone in that division. Not everyone, but just her power alone would be insane. If she made...
She doesn't sit down on punches, though.
Yeah, that's
yes,
true.
Her power is great.
That is true. She's more methodical kind of counter striker.
Her style is 100% jabs and ki eyes, with an occasional kick thrown in. Everyone loves to think about Valentina as the Priscilla Cachoeira fight, but none of her other fights look like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally, go back and watch the Holly Holm fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Holly Holm fight,
which is my least favorite fight of all fucking time, probably.
Weird.
I hate that fight more than I hate Derek Lewis versus Ngannou, because at least Derek Lewis versus Ngannou had tension.
Yeah.
The Holly Holm versus Valentina fight was just who can ki more to win a judge's decision. Yeah. It was so goddamn frustrating. So
yeah, I have Shevchenko by decision.
And she's got to be a big favorite because the Muay Thai fights
big time.
I gotta figure she's like at least 230 or something.
Minus 350.
That's too wide, but yeah. I would think like 250, maybe 270, but like 3 or higher.
And then
way too high.
Yeah, we're kind of running over again. Not that it's whatever,
that's all right. It's a big card, and we had a lot to say because it's been a fucked up week.
So main motherfucking event. This should have happened when I was in Vegas on my birthday, July 7th, but unfortunately Max Holloway got roofied. Just kidding. That's how they pair it on Reddit. He had some sort of health issue complication.
He
it's
had
never
a
really been
concussion
confirmed.
And doesn't want to talk about it.
It was a big time concussion. He was.
That's what. Honestly, though, I want to take a second to say it was a concussion, but his team doesn't want to say out loud it was a concussion because that means that he's gonna get much stricter commission problems in the future.
Yeah. Right.
Like we can all agree. Like that's why he half the time says it's concussion and the other half the time denies it's concussion. Because he said it early on, or he didn't say it, but he hinted at it a couple times, and his team hinted at it a couple times, and then all of a sudden all the stories changed to where, no, we're looking into definitely it was either weight cut or he was poisoned. Which, like, totally possible he was poisoned. Vegas is fucked up, but... Yeah. No, I'm 100% convinced they're not trying to show the commission that he was concussed. That being said, I think everybody's overblowing the concussion symptoms this week. He does slur. He's also Hawaiian and always kind of slurred a little bit. And has only gotten older and drink and take more shots to the head. So, I think everybody's kind of overblowing it with the concussion stuff. or not overblowing it with concussion stuff, but overblowing it with Max being not the same dude. I don't think we've ever seen that in a fight yet. I think we've only seen that in conversations
Pre-fight
with
shit,
media about
like
the
the whole
fight,
Bisbing saying, "Hey, are you all right?" That kind of thing. Yeah.
And that one was legit as hell.
Yeah.
But this time around, I think people are kind of reaching.
Yeah. So we got Max Holloway, who's the defending current featherweight champion of the world in the UFC. He's just turned 27 years old, literally 3 days ago. His last fight, we saw him defeat. Oh wow, a year ago. Yeah, so he's been out for a year. That's right. Holy shit. December 2nd. Yeah, he beat Jose Aldo 2 times in a row, who is considered the featherweight GOAT. He's been on a hell of a run. I don't even have
Didn't just beat Jose Aldo. He smashed Jose Aldo in both those fights.
Yeah.
In totally different ways, which was crazy. Luke Thomas, I think, was the person who pointed out, like, yo, you beat Jose Aldo in those fights circling the opposite way the second time, which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, so let's just get to this. Is going to be Max's. This should be Max's toughest fight yet. Brian T.C. Ortega is 14-0.
I would say Aldo. Well, the thing is we don't know, like.
T-City is kind of like an enigma. So his last fight, he knocked out Frankie Edgar at the end of the first round. He knocked him out.
He sure did.
That's so crazy with an uppercut.
Yeah. Dude,
because T-City's not like, he's a big guy. Like, he's what? It says he's listed at 5'9". I think he's like 5'10". But whatever.
Sure, and he's a big dude for 45.
He's not like ripped or super cut, but he's just got that strength, you know. Because
he's got that surfer
trains
strength where he's like
under
wide
Henry
as
Gracie.
shit.
He's already a fantastic. He's probably got some of the best overall jiu-jitsu in all the whole roster. He's got to be up there, at least for the American jiu-jitsu guys, for the Americans. Before knocking out Frankie Edgar, he submitted Cub Swanson via standing guillotine choke. He defeated Renato Moicano via guillotine choke off the ground in a fight that I believe he was losing. And yeah, he won it in the last second.
Losing this shit out. He's never won a round, but he's won every one of his fights.
So, and for that reason, my gut says I really do want to pick Ortega. I really do. But I'm going Max. I was going to pick Ortega earlier today. I'm going Max for that reason. I think Max is just going to pour it on with volume. And his hip movement and just his lateral changes in his striking he's just going to pick apart T-City, I'd say, for the first 3 rounds. Even if T-City gets him to the ground for a little bit or gets some good shape. I don't know. I just see a decision. I see a decision win for Holloway. I really do.
Wow.
If it's not I do see Ortega submitting them though, 100%. That's how he's gonna win. I really think so. I think it's one of those. But Holloway does have that TKO power though too with the volume. So there's a lot of different ways this fight could end. I really think because both these are so talented. But if Ortega is gonna win, it's gonna be submission.
I agree. 100%.
I
think,
and part of me wants to choose him, but if I'm going to, I don't know what round I would pick if I would go to Ortega. I mean, I could. No, you know what? I will go with my hunch. Fuck it, I'm gonna go with Ortega, because I was telling myself that all day today too. I don't know, it's tough, because.
So what round
I
do you
think
take
what
him
was
in,
it? What
and
was
by
it? Someone mentioned something. I think. I want to go Holloway in the fact I think the only guy that Ortega's fought with a really good jab is just Frankie. Because I remember someone made a point of that. I think it was Luke Thomas.
Probably Heavy Hands or Luke Thomas.
It was Luke Thomas. And he said, here's Max Holloway. He's one of the best jabbers, combination punchers in all the UFC. How is Ortega going to look against someone who's going to box the fuck up out of him? If he puts him against a cage, against a fence, it clinches him, that's when Ortega shoots, right? And Max is going to anticipate that. So I should pick Max. I want to pick... This is weird. I want to pick Ortega because he has more of a threat to finish it on the ground. Like, if he goes there. Because his jiu-jitsu is just so fucking good. It's weird, man. It's mainly... it comes down to me how often can Max just stick to the outside, can swivel his hips and can piece him apart while avoiding being taken down and submitted. Because I know Max has a good jiu-jitsu coach. It's weird, man.
You are really torn up about this. So you're taking Ortega. What? I'm guessing sub.
Let's see. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going Ortega late sub. I think it's be one of those fights.
Third or fourth?
I think I'm going like fourth round. I think it's one of those fights where Max should be winning most of the fight, and then what happens is I don't want to say he slips up, but it's one of those where Ortega just pours it on with the attempts and then catches him. It'll be like one of those where he catches him quickly, and then Max is like, holy shit, and just subs. One of those things.
Wow. That would be huge, especially to put it on him that late.
That's just a hunch. Realistically, I'm thinking, though, and my pick is still Ortega. Realistically, I got Max by decision, unanimous decision. I think he pours it on with he just pieces them the fuck up. I think he's not too tough to not be knocked out, but I think Holloway doesn't be too overly aggressive because he doesn't want to get himself caught and something.
Right.
He doesn't want to.
So I don't have Ortega. I've got Holloway by fourth round TKO.
I like that. Too.
I think Ortega is going to look good in the first round. I think Holloway is going to slowly pick him apart on the outside. I don't think Ortega is going to get any takedowns in this fight. I don't think Ortega is even going to be able to really initiate any significant grappling exchanges in this fight. It's because Holloway is so fucking slick, and the way he dominated Jose Aldo on the ground is impressive as shit. I think people sleep on that. He took Aldo down and dominated him. Aldo on the ground.
That's true. His top control was very impressive.
Fights. He smashed Aldo from top control. And while I don't think he's going to initiate any kind of grappling exchanges with Ortega, I do think he will absolutely be able to shut down a lot of that wrestling game. He has a lot of Robert Whittaker to him in that people sleep on Max Holloway's wrestling game. Just because he doesn't use it offensively, he mostly uses it defensively. But both those dudes have nasty fucking grappling games, especially in the wrestling department, and especially in ground and pound, and just knowing when to step out of those kinds of situations. So, yeah, I'm going to take Holloway fourth round TKO. I think he's going to eventually gas out Ortega, who is going to fail on a lot of big winging shots and on clinching grappling exchanges. And I think it's going to tire Ortega out, and Holloway's going to end up beating him up late. But also, I think that it'll be interesting to see how the leg kick plays out in this fight, because I think Ortega will eat leg kicks, but it's a matter of how much does Max want to throw him because of the threat of the takedown. Yep. I think he will start opening up with him later, but I think we won't see one for a bit. We won't see much kicking from Max, I would think, early. But later on, I think calf kicks and stuff like that could end up playing in. But, yeah, I'm going to take Max. But, oh, man, Ortega is if you want a flyer for a sub or for a KO, Ortega is not the worst option on the card. I'll put it that way.
The odds, by the way, are... Actually, they're all over the place. Let me see this shit.
I heard Max is an underdog from a couple places.
So Bovada has Ortega minus 125. Actually, you know what? No, he's mostly an underdog. There's a couple even ones, but yeah, he's mostly an underdog, but barely.
Max is?
Yeah, but most the common ones I just see minus 107 even, minus 111 even, minus 110 even, minus 115. It's mostly even, minus 110. Yeah, it's mostly even.
I think it's a lot of houses trying to cover their ass on whether or not Max Holloway is actually shop worn or not. Cool, we'll go ahead and wrap this here. But yeah, this should be a super fun card, and holy shit, am I excited for that Polaris card as well on Sunday. It should be dope.
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be a weekend just filled with different fights. I don't even know what else to say.
That's right. Well, it should be cool. If anybody is in the San Diego area, head down to Balboa Tap House and
in Claremont.
That's right, in Claremont. And if you find us, where the fuck else is Balboa Tap House, bro?
That's true. It's on Balboa.
That's right. If you find us, we will 100% buy you a beer, guaranteed. And I'm gonna try and make it down there as well. So that should be fun, man.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Yeah, and get some other folks to be down there too. figure something out.
Perfect. Yeah. Hey, who knows? You might even get to meet little Trevor G6. I don't know if G6 is in town. Probably not.
I don't think he is. I think he's flying right now between Arizona and LA or something like that. But
I mean, there's a reason why we call him G6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we will go ahead and wrap this here, but you guys can always find us at thesoundofviolence.com. Can email the show, sovpod@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter, tsovpod. We are always looking for recommendations for podcasts that you think we're sleeping on or that you think we don't know about. Because there's a billion out there that I would love to hear that I just don't know exist, like Dennis Bermudez's show this week. It was fucking great, and I'm glad I found out about it. So if you guys have any recommendations of slept-on podcasts or ones that we need to go back and check out, let me know. And we will go ahead and wrap this here. Chris, anything else you want to shout out before we're out of here?
No, that'll do it for now.
Perfect. Well, till next time, everybody, enjoy 231. Whatever sounds decadent. Yeah. Peace.